Good evening, boys and girls. We're back with more Shadowrun. Last time, we started to investigate murder. The point of investigating the murder was to find out who the killer was. Let's continue. Whampoan Garden, a carnival of chrome and neon, rife with every manner of technology and artifice one could imagine. The entire area has a feel of a night market. I don't know why I'm talking like that. We read this last time. I'm going to say this every time I start a stream. We read this last time. Read it yourselves. Right, where did we get to? We spoke to Breaker Hui. We didn't speak to Mojnebi. The man in front of the stall is rooting through a box of music chips with the swift fingers of someone who knows what they're looking for. Behind him, a music player pumps out a constant stream of distorted, atonal music. The stall's proprietor is nowhere to be seen. Can you believe this? They've got 4 bootlegs of Echelon 60, the unreleased Enoch Ian Keys double chip show from Buzzerville, but absolutely 0 chips from Shotgun Bloom. This stall's stuff is purely second rate. Hey man. Don't get down on Echelon 60. I saw them when they played that unlicensed show at the old Choco Tart factory out in Suan Wan. The show was amazing, even if the police had to break it up midway through the second set. The music aficionado waves his hand dismissively. The show might have been great, but come on, Echelon 60's old news. They're already being mainstreamed. I saw a Trid ad for the new Mitsubishi Ostro scooter, and they were using Main Vault Under Bus as the backing music. Made me sad, I tell you. The Decker inclines his head politely towards you. Mojnebi, at your service. Decker, technologist, music fan. You're not from around here, are you? You don't hold yourself like a native. Not Whampoan Garden, no. Mo runs a hand through his hair, shaking the collected rain off it. I thought so. What brings you out here? I'm trying to find out who's been killing the Elders. The Decker pauses a moment, face falling. Oh, that's a nasty business. I heard Ton died tonight. I don't know who or what they pissed off, but it seems like a really bad scene. I'm trying to keep my nose out of it. Still, I like this place. Is there anything I can do to help? Is there indeed? Is there indeed? What can you tell me about the Whampoans? We're a collection of freaks, geeks, nerds, and tech junkies. This place may look like Third World Bazaar, but believe me, we have stuff here that's cutting edge in almost every field. Mo swells with pride, and plants both hands firmly on his hips. Maybe not as advanced as the stuff the Megas have in their development labs, but it's as advanced as anything you can find in a store. People come from all over the world to buy and sell here, and work out deals for big shipments. We've got contacts with every pirate and smuggling group in the South China Sea, and every major syndicate and gang in the Free Enterprise Zone knows to not mess with us. Not only are there a lot of us, nobody wants to lose what we're selling. The Red Dragon made a play 4 years ago, but we chased him out. Mo gestures with both hands as if shooting away some bothersome insects, scooted off back to Homantin, and they've never been back. Good for you, that's how you survive. It's all about playing the angles. Yeah, it pissed him off. But then we sold goods to the Yellow Lotus at a discount. In exchange, the Yellow Lotus kept them off our backs. You don't have to beat up the big guy to win. You just have to make him step back so the other big guys see he's off balance. Stand-up fights are for the Megas. We're about survival, just like everyone else in the shadows. Know anything about the murders? I'm trying to stay as far away from it as possible. I'm not connected enough to hear anything important. And all the talk about monsters is just plain dark. I'm not afraid of monsters, but I don't want to get their attention. All I know is that a couple of months ago, we had Elders Nakamura, Yatunde, Gan, and Magpie, and now we don't. I've heard about Magpie. Sounds like she was kind of vicious. To be blunt, she's a hateful, shrewish old badger of a person. It was always her way or the highway. She'd butt heads with the other Elders over damn near anything. The last fight she had was with Tang over something or other. I guess she ended up throwing some of his micro-drones into a deep fryer and threatening to kick his ass around the block. What was her line of business? Matrix gear. Her shop's called the Jack Point. Not very imaginative, I know. She's always had the hottest programs, best chips, and made some killer decks for anybody willing to pay her rates. It cost plenty of Nguyen, but she was one of the best in the business. At least in Hong Kong. If you want to know more about her, you should talk to Zippy. He's one of the only people around here who got along with Magpie. You can probably find him at the MTR station. He loves the steamed bun cart over there. What is your area of expertise, Mo? I'm a decker. I used to be a company man for years, pushing code on the servers, smearing the little cyber pukes that would try and get into our secure systems. I made a pretty good living, had my own place on the 48th floor of a corporate skyscraper. It was the kind of thing the Sims teach you everybody reaches for, the dream life. Sounds like hell on earth to me. Mo chuckles, running a hand through his hair. Well, it wasn't so bad at the time, but in the long run, I think you're right. It's not as comfortable out here on the edge, but I'm a lot happier. I found out the company wasn't what I thought it was. Sure, they paid me well and kept me in creature comforts, but I accidentally overlooked some misfiled reports while cleaning out a company data store. Turns out one of the company's security riggers had gotten drunk and blabbed about some project or other, being over budget and behind schedule. That's not good. It'd be a fireable offence, right? Mo purses his lips. His gaze going distant for a moment. Well, I guess upper management was worried that info would hurt their stock rating by a fraction of a point or two, so they fired the guy, with a .308 round right through the skull. You should have known that's how the corporations handle problems. Well, I sure as hell know now. You get a wake-up call like that, it really opens your eyes. It may only have been fractions of a point, but that was still tens of millions of nuyen. I guess that went beyond firing offence directly into murder territory. What's worse, since I now knew about both the project and the murder, I could be next in the firing line. I knew it wasn't worth the expense to hunt down, as long as I kept my head down, so I came out here, looking for like-minded deckers. I guess I ended up staying because I could get a semblance of community out here, and I couldn't get that many other places. Bye-bye, Mo. Right. What were my optionals? Optional. Get the key to Magpie's shop and investigate the Parkiange Garayage. Get the key to the shop. Which is... where? I guess in this very dramatically music building. Is there anything we can do for you, Wolf? Why did you let the HKPF into Whampoan Garden last month? Tang is taken aback by the question. For a long moment he says nothing. When his composure does return, he speaks deliberately and with great care. We generally don't let the police into Whampoan Garden, it's true, but in this case we made an exception. The police were very polite and offered to look the other way over some of our deals with the Loho Jawa pirates. They also made it clear that if we refused, they might not only take an interest in our deals with the pirates, they would call in the Special Duties Unit and force their way in. We have repelled the Hong Kong police force before, when they tried to push us around. We could probably drive off the Special Duties Unit as well, but the cost in blood would be too high. Since they weren't hunting a Whampoan, we saw no reason to refuse their request. Who were they here for? They didn't say and we didn't ask. The HKPF isn't exactly forthcoming about their business, and we found that the less we know about their interests, the safer Whampoan Garden is. When you take an interest in the police, they return the favour. As far as I know, they went into the parking garage, there was a gunfight and the police never came out. More showed up a few hours later, looking for their missing officers. We didn't let those in though. We just delivered what was left of the bodies to them. So why didn't you let those in? We were willing to allow the group of 4 in because they asked politely. When the reinforcements arrived, there were over 30 of them. We couldn't risk the rest of the police setting up camp in our streets. It would have been a circus and disrupted our lives and business. Why didn't you tell me about Elder Magpie disappearing? Why would we have? Her departure from the Whampoans isn't related to your investigation. It happened before the killings began. I'm certain she's just off sulking somewhere. Her tone is profoundly indifferent. No doubt she'll come waltzing back next month, all full of attitude that life dared to go on without asking her permission. If she does, we'll welcome her back. Despite our problems with her behaviour, her skills make her extremely valuable. I've taken over maintenance of our Matrix infrastructure in her absence, but I'm nowhere near her level. The best I can do is ensure nothing breaks down until she returns. I'd like to take a look around the shop. Do you have the key? Yes, but there's a lot of sensitive equipment in there, including our community servers. We don't let anyone in who's not one of the Whampoan Elders. Why would you need to look around there? Magpie's automated system might have access records for the killer's wireless devices. If I can get a dump of her access logs, I might be able to find the killer. I was under the impression the killer was most likely a monster or animal of some kind. All the bodies have been marked with bite and claw marks. Are you suggesting we're dealing with something sentient? That seems unlikely. Tong wasn't killed with teeth or claws. He was killed with a bladed weapon. Tang cocks his head, confusion washing over his face. A bladed weapon? How do you know? Her spine was severed between the 5th and 6th cervical vertebrae. Scoring on the bone would indicate a knife or a sword. Tang looks to Ip and Nug, his mouth twisting down into a grimace. This complicates things. Take the key then, but don't break anything and don't shut off the servers. Anything else? No. Nothing else, Doctor. Thanks very much. Right, let's go see who we've got to talk to. Wing something something. Welcome, sir. Welcome to Quoc Atelier, home of the finest clothing in Whampoa Garden. I'm the owner, the master tailor, Wing K. Quoc. How may I serve you today? I didn't expect Whampoa Garden to have a tailor's. Many people don't. There's a mistaken impression that the we Whampoans are only interested in technology and the Matrix. But even technologists need clothing, don't they? And many of us gravitate towards lines of work where added protection is required. I'm myself a materials scientist, as well as a keen follower of fashion trends. What kind? Fiber related, of course. Primarily aramid fibers, graphene composites, and dilatants. Dilatants. It affords me a certain unique perspective when designing clothing that's not only beautiful, but defensive as well. I specialize in high-fashion body armor, similar to the kind crafted by SecureTech or Vashon Island, but with a much more personal touch. Show me what you got. No thanks. Goodbye. Hey, there's an arcade man. Rainbow. Hello, Rainbow. This woman sports brilliantly hued hair that shifts colours, scintillating with every passing moment. She's powerfully built, a natural athlete, or someone who works out a great deal. Notably, a large shotgun rests on an arcade cabinet next to her. She affords you a short glance as you approach. When she speaks, you note a peculiarly lyrical accent to her voice. Something I can help you with there, friend. You're throwing off my game and trying to beat my best score. Tankwar Europa. Haven't seen one of those cabinets in years. The woman's mouth twists up into a wry grin. Aye, me neither. Managed to find this one near by accident, but I heard the music and I thought, hold on there, Rainbow. You know that tune. After a few moments, Rainbow's game is suddenly over, her tank obliterated by a barrage of air-to-ground missiles. She hisses her breath in through clenched teeth. Piss on your ma, a right robbery that was. Right then. Rainbow shakes her head again and turns to face you fully. You don't seem like them Whampoans. They're all a mite touched, yeah? Maybe you are too, but you don't advertise it like they do. What's your story? I'm looking into the murders. Ah, that's some nasty work. Bodies hacked up, chunks bitten out of them. Make sure you're loaded for something big and ugly, that's for certain. Where are you from? Born and raised in Dublin. Down on the banks of the Liffey. Spent most of my early years there working security on some sacred spaces. You know, historical sites and underdeveloped land. The Green Movement was big in those days. It was a bit like being a park ranger. But just didn't it beat some dead-end desk job. Spent a lot of time around County Dublin and Wicklow. Always loved animals, to be sure. And I found out being a ranger put me in close with them. It was a good time, yeah? Making sure the budding new I can't be asked. Making sure the budding new species like the bogies and centaurs didn't upset the ecology of Wicklow National Park much. Also kept the nastier bits, like the Ichus, from running amok across populated areas. What the hell is that word? Ichusg. Oh, here we go. An Ichusg isn't a demon horse. Ah, that's right. They're cannibal horses, basically. Nasty buggers that drag people into bogs and drown you. Sometimes people call them kelpies on account of the water plants that they pop out of. Anyway, as I was saying, problem was, I started to develop this wee knack. Just a small thing. I keep magic from working when I'm around. Spells don't go, spirits fall apart, and the paracritters get real feisty, yeah? To make things worse, this was around the time of Liam O'Connor, who formed the Tin and Og. With all his fancy talk about elves and ancient magic, it was a bit scandalous to have a woman guarding ancient sites that wasn't just mundane, but also killed magic around her, so I got fired. You're older than Tin and Og? Bang on! And I don't look a day over 25, do I? Rainbow flexes one arm, grinning widely. Hi, I'm Irish, not one of them noggins. Pack of punters, the lot of them. Always going on about their ancestral lands and the glory of, and the past and all that bullshit. I saw them kick a dozen old Irish families off their land just because their ears weren't pointy enough, or they didn't meet some stupid arbitrary criteria of old nobility. It was that kind of thing that brought back the IRA, just like the bad old days of the Troubles. The Skivers in the new tier didn't pay for the land they took, they just had a pack of bullies with guns. I've always been sympathetic to the little guy in a fight. They offered to pay for my help, so I said yes, simple as that. And you became a terrorist. Oh, don't be so dramatic. They fixed me up with a cyber stitcher and gave me a lot of the kit that I've got in me now, in exchange for going overseas to work for them. Smuggling, running guns, making contacts in Europe. Same kind of shite all revolutionary groups do. Seeing as how me and my own fam got kicked out of their house, I was glad to do it. I still do work for them these days, but there's a lot less of it. Lady Day cracked down on dissidents, but good. So what are you doing here? I'm a bit of a big game hunter these days. I get into strange places and look for some kind of paracritter I've not seen before, and then I put a bullet in it. Only the nasty ones though. No point in hunting a talus cat or such. It's only things like gargoyles, bargheists, whatnot. All the work I did with them in my youth does a good job of keeping me alive. I was out in Jakarta last year hunting one of the Indonesian vampires. You ever heard of them? Call them Layak or Penanggalans, depending on who you ask. Their heads and guts come out of the body cavity and they fly around like a giant messy pile of pasta. Took me 2 solid months to track her down, but I did. Once the job was done, I asked myself, okay Rainbow, where's the best place in East Asia to find some action? So Hong Kong it was. All the Quiwotsits here mean a bigger concentration of odd critters than you'd usually find in a city. Jesus Christ, this woman talks. Been spending a lot of time down in the storm drains these days. I heard rumours of a rat king down there. What a mess of a devil. Rats get all tied together into some kind of big awful rat beast. Haven't tracked it down yet, but I figure it's only a matter of time, yeah? Right, you weren't helpful at all. Thanks a lot, Rainbow. And then we've got this guy, Min Vong. The owner of this shop barely looks up from his PDA while greeting you. His tone is one of immense boredom. Welcome to Min Vong Matrix Materials. Okay, what can I get for you? Show me what you got. Bye then. Right. Right. Do you have anything new to add to my story? What can you tell me about Elder Magpie? The Whampoan snorts, shrugging his shoulders. That she was a bitch? I've never met anyone as deliberately contrary as her. There's not much to say. Nobody wanted to hang out with Magpie. Even though she was the newest elder, she acted high and mighty around everyone. She'd block deals and argue against Nakamura and Nug just because she could. Why would she go so contrary? It was just her nature. She loved fights and gossip. Any chance to cut somebody else down, she'd take it. I guess I always figured she had some deep-seated insecurities and covered it up by attacking other people. Okay. You didn't like her then? Anything else to say, Ziggy? Nope. There's a starman waiting in the sky. What's in here? The bin is full of assorted chips, peripherals, and add-on modules for cyberdecks. They don't seem to be arranged in any coherent fashion and are spread across the felt surface. You sift through the display case, searching for anything that might prove interesting. Strangely, the bin seems to be missing parts. There's plenty of storage memory, active memory, and I/O handlers in the display case, but no MPCP or response increase chips, the more expensive parts. Anyone trying to build a deck using only these parts would end up with a glorified comlink. Rakta gestures towards one of the other displays, a pair of small cyberdecks still inside of the lock case. Maybe Magpie took the chips when she left. Then again, if she did that, why did she leave the completed decks behind? Why indeed? Open server. The front of the server's case hangs open, the inner machinery quiet and without power. A clipboard is stuck to the side by a piece of duct tape, its papers filled with a long list of programs and their prices. A quick glance over the program sheet reveals names like Bugs and Black Hammer. Undoubtedly, this was Magpie's attack program storage machine. A solitary red light blinks at the rear of the open server. Upon closer inspection, it looks like a Fuji XB1000 backup drive with its own isolated battery power, probably to safeguard the server's data if the main supply failed. The XB1000 drives are constant write. Cheap, with a ton of storage capacity, but if they lose power, they lose all the data. Unfortunately, the isolated drive's battery power has long since run out. That is a damn shame. Right, Magpie's desk. Magpie's desk is the kind of messy most people only associate with a rat's nest, hoarders and deckers. The surface of the desk is littered with cigarette butts, half-finished cans of soy calf, and scraps of electronics. A towering pile of empty instant noodle bowls sits next to it. Their sides are blazoned with Honest Wang's instant old-time Lamian, and depict a line of top-hat-wearing caterpillars dancing with canes. Hey, awesome! I didn't think anyone but me liked Honest Wang's noodles. Flavour like you've never tasted in a package of instant noodles, I promise. Gobbit taps the side of one container. See, this one's cheese curry broccoli. I don't know why it never caught on, honestly. Gee, who could pass up the delicious taste of cheese, curry, and freeze-dried vegetables? I know, right? People out there have no idea what kind of culinary delights they're missing. You gingerly root around in the desk, doing your best to avoid the more disgusting piles and spills. It isn't easy. The desk's drawers are stuffed to overflowing with receipts, cigarette packs, optical chips, and cables. Most of the contents are boring, useless, and disgusting. While searching one of the bottom drawers, however, a low-quality tin lockbox catches your eye. Someone has pried the latch off, leaving a ragged hole where the lock should be. The interior of the box has several sleeves for storing cards. The interior of the box has several sleeves for storing keycards, all of which are empty. A small note is taped to the interior of the box. Spare storeroom keys. The door in the rear of Mrs. Yang's restaurant. Do not lose these. Use only if I am unavailable to open the stockroom. Ah, the plot thickens. A secret lockbox, the latch and lock torn out, and all the keys to Magpie's treasure trove missing. Who do you suppose stole them? Probably whoever cleaned out Magpie's equipment. That would make sense. The culprit would have been in a hurry. If these Whampoans are as tech-savvy as they seem, a cheap maglock wouldn't present much difficulty for them, and anyone looking to loot Magpie's shop wouldn't want to pass up her stockroom. It would be full of even more valuable gear. You searched Magpie's bathroom. There's not much in here. A toothbrush, toilet paper, and some hairpins, and a collection of cheap makeup. The combination bath shower unit, however, has minor flakes of a dry reddish substance near the drain. Blood. Dried blood. Prying open the drain cover, it looks like quite a bit of it was shed as well. Shit. Maybe Magpie didn't take a trip after all. With that amount of blood, I'm guessing someone killed her quietly and then drained her body in the bath. It'd make it cleaner to relocate. Doesn't seem to match the killer's other scenes though. I'm thinking there's a lot more going on with these murders than we were initially told. First they don't even mention Magpie to us, now it looks like she's been killed. Something's not right here, Wolf. Let's not mention this to the Elders. If they're hiding anything, they may start cleaning up their tracks better. True that. True that. Right. Where are we going next? Can you tell me more about Elder Magpie? What do you want to know? Some of Magpie's gear's missing. Who'd have an interest in it? It depends. What's missing and what's still there? A lot of chips have been cleared out, and software too. There are some fully built decks that are still there. That doesn't feel right to me. A Whampoan wouldn't root through her things. It's not our way. Any kind of theft like that's taken very seriously, and nobody who knows how to move chips is hurting for money. Even if they were, the risk's too high. We're a small community. Someone would notice. If I had to guess, I'd say an outsider took her gear and has it stashed somewhere. Are there any outsiders who've been snooping around? Other than you? No. People do come and go from here every day, but nobody stays. They're only here for business. If whoever stole her stuff is here, they're in hiding. Come to think of it, Magpie did have a stockroom hidden in the basement of some restaurant around here. She was awfully cagey about where it was though, and I never saw a key. Maybe the gear's down there. They're revealing slightly more information. And when I say slightly, I mean very slightly. Magpie's shop's missing a lot of gear. Know anyone who might be fencing it? In Whampoa Garden? No way. Most people are too shit scared of Magpie to pull that, and I definitely recognise anything of hers. She watermarked every program and engraved every chip. Wanted people to know where the good stuff came from. There's not a lot of places to hide that kind of gear around here. We're all packed pretty tight, and this place gossips like a mahjong parlour at tea time. If I were you, I'd ask any other outsider types you can find if they've heard something. Nobody local would risk bringing Magpie's ire down on them, or the rest of the Whampoans. We might cheat other people, but we don't steal from one another. Anyone who gets caught doing that would get kicked out or worse. Okay, so we're pretty sure it's an outsider then. Hello again. Show me what you have. Oh, you have guns. How exciting. Do you have a rifle that's better than whatever the fuck I have? How do I know what I've got? I have a pistol. Do you have a pistol that's better than 7M12? 6M28. That's a distinct no. Can I not, like, buy that and equip it, though? Yeah. And then put that here. And then put a spell there. Please? Please go there. But can the gun go there? Okay, I'm looking for info. Bye-bye. Right, come on, gang. Who's this? Cater. This dumpy-looking man is busily hawking a variety of grilled spherical treats of various sizes. Some are sold individually, some are skewered on sticks, and some are packaged up in sets of 4 or 6. A sign on the front of the cart reads, Caters 1 yen yatai. A cacophony of small trid screens are attached to the cart, each playing a different trid show. Interest you in some dango? Takoyaki? Maybe a nice nikkoman. That's a pork bun with a Japanese twist. Any kind of tasty Japanese treat you can imagine, I've got it. Maybe some curry fish balls are your speed. Cater will give you your heart's desire, providing that desire's on my menu. Let me have some dango. Your wish is my command, good sir. Cater deftly pulls one of the dango sticks out of the cart and drops it into the grill. A small robotic arm slides out from the cart and begins turning the stick until the balls of rice flour are toasted brown colour. Lifting them from the grill, Cater dips the entire stick in a tub of sticky brown sauce before handing it to you. The snack has both a sweet and salty flavour, reminiscent of sesame seeds and soy. The balls inside are pleasantly warm and surprisingly chewy, a bit like eating dough raw but without the attendant chalky taste. Cater leans back, studying you intently. The trid projections from his cart cause his face to be lit in a constant shifting array of rainbow hues. So what brings you to Whampoa Garden, my friend? Somehow I doubt it's just the street food. I am looking into the killings. I've been hearing a lot about that. Haven't looked too closely though. It's just none of my business, you know. What can you tell me about the people here? We're tech heads, deckers, riggers, trid pirates, and everything in between. If I had to define this place, I'd say it's Asia's mecca for people like us. As for the elders, I can give you the basics. I'm a small fry, so we're not exactly on social terms. Nugs, some kind of crazy tech witch. She summons up spirits and casts spells, and works as the spiritual centre of the tribe. She's a lot craftier than she seems, too. She has this mother-to-everyone act going on, but I've watched her manipulate people into doing all kinds of stuff they wouldn't normally do, and they thought it was their idea the whole time. Magically, you mean? No, I don't think so. She's just really good with people. Ip's a killer, addicted to cybernetic implants. He's always had to have the newest and freshest gear. The funny thing is, I've never seen him in a fight. I kind of get the impression he's a coward. He'd rather let one of his buddies handle a problem than do it himself. All I know about Tang is that he loves drones and does a little decking. Frankly, I find him kind of boring. All he talks about is neural networks, dark knowledge, and the evolution of machine learning. Like I said, boring. What's with all the trid screens? Cater beams and gestures excitedly at them. You like them? I love trid operas. Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Indonesian. It doesn't matter. This way I can watch all of my favourite shows without missing a beat, and I can work at the same time. Pirated trid is my other business. I rip the streams in the Matrix, tap right into the corporate feeds, and resell them on chip out here. I wish it could pay the bills, but my food cart's a lot better at it. That. I don't know why, but most of the other Whampoans seem to like sim over trid. They don't know what they're missing, though. One episode of 1,000 Cranes of Autumn and they'd be hooked for life. I'm just at the part where Orin has confessed her love for Takayama, but he's got to get his mech suit out on the front lines of Mars, so he can't be with her. Downright heartbreaking, I tell you. It sounds like an interesting show, alright. Oh, you have no idea. 312 episodes, chronicling a noble mech pilot and the tumultuous love affair he has with a space station governor's daughter. The pathos, the majesty, the Battle of Lagrange 1 spans 5 episodes just by itself. For some reason, I guess it didn't resonate with the wider public. I don't know why. Who doesn't want to see a trid show about giant flying robots, love, betrayal, and spies? I've got to stop myself before I get carried away. Anything else you needed? Any thoughts on the murders? Yeah, ignore them. I saw the crowd down at Tong's Sensory Carnival earlier tonight, but I didn't know the guy very well. I'm a trid fan, and he liked The Sims. Not a lot of crossover between us. Okay. Right, this, right here, is where the police got in a fight. So let's go see what the commotion was all about, shall we? Doopy doop boop boo. Can I come down this way? Oh. There's a lot of people here with baseball bats. That's far enough, guy. The woman hefts her weapon, tossing a nod towards the gangers behind her. This lot's our turf. If you're looking for a fix, you're welcome to trade. If you're not here for business, clear the hell out. You try and wander around on our turf, we're going to have to air you out. What do you say? You're looking for a little pick-me-up? A little nitro to give you some pep? Maybe you want some chips? Take that edge off. You want it? I got it. Show me what you have. I don't want any of that. Can I look around the garage? Man, are you deaf? What did I tell you? No, you goddamn can't look around our turf. I'm here on business for the Whampoan Elders. You're only here because they tolerate you. They hear you're blocking me, your ass is going to get kicked all the way to Suen Wan. The ganger shifts nervously, glancing at her allies. Okay, I'm listening. What kind of business are you on? I'm investigating the murders of the other elders. The gunfight with the HKPF might be related. Alright, we only moved in here because all the Whampoans are too shit scared of monsters and ghosts to come back in. The elders told us it was alright if we moved in here. Seemed happy to have us camped out, honestly. Look around, knock yourself out. Just stay out of the way of our business. Okay. Now I will save and talk to you again. What happened in the fight here? As far as I know, some police showed up and, looking for somebody. They got in here, all of them got killed. Whoever they were after is long gone by the time we showed up. Used to be a lot of Whampoans living here. They all cleared out, muttering about ghosts and shit like that. You heard anything else about the murders? Nothing much. I tell you what though, I've got a guy named Kang and he was down in the storm drain system last week. Something was moving down there. Big. Man-sized. But it wasn't speaking any language Kang understood. Kid beat feet back here as fast as he could. Dumbass dropped his storm drain key on the way out though. You want to go looking for whatever it was? You'll have to get a new key from someone else. Kang stole his from a city worker. Who might have a key? There's a guy named Porter Lamb who's got keys to pretty much everything. He's somewhere between a cop and a handyman. UN also mentioned some elf woman with the crazy-coloured hair who managed to scam a key. He said she hunted paracritters down there. Devil rats and shit. Some of these BTLs you're selling look an awful lot that came from Tong's shop. Yeah? So what? Why do you care? If you stole these from Tong's, maybe you saw something I can use in my investigation. I guess that's fair. It's like this. Broken Thumb UN was walking down the street. He sees this guy going to Tong's joint right at closing time. Tall guy, hunched over. Had this shitty grey rain poncho draped over him. Now, UN figured that was weird as hell, so he posts up and waits. He figures the guy will come out soon, because Tong's closing up shop. Nothing for 15 whole minutes. Guy comes out, hustles down the street with nobody saying boo. I figure he's waiting for an ebb in the crowds. UN sees some blood smeared on the door though, so he goes to check it out. Inside, total carnage. But you know what? Tong's not going to be using his gear anymore, so to hell with it. UN jacks the lot of it. Business is business. You're damn right it is. That's all I know. The guy had to be the killer. Tall, grey rain poncho, hunched over. Also smart about how he came and went. Okay. And then... bloody stain. Dried blood and bullet holes pockmark the floor, pillars, and walls of the parking garage. Judging by the amount of blood staining the floor, multiple people died here. To call the scene bloody would be to do it a disservice. This was a massacre of tremendous proportions. Look at this, Wolf. These scratches look like they're from a long-bladed weapon like a sword or machete. That matches the wound on Tong's neck. Our killer must have fought the HKPF in here and cut them apart. With a number of bullet holes in the walls and cars around, they must have just been spraying wildly. I'll tell you what, I don't want to have to fight this maniac at close range. Dried blood and clots clog the drains. As you look closer, however, something catches your eye. An off-red colour that doesn't match the hues of the gore around the drain. Bending closer, it appears to be a small nugget of some kind. Broken piece of armour. The nugget, upon closer inspection, is a chunk of some kind of synthetic ferroplastic. It's got a ragged edge, as if it was broken off of a larger object. A number of small markings are partially obscured by scratches. Brushing away some of the dust, you peer at the fragmentary bit of ferroplastic. The scratches and markings on the nugget seem vaguely familiar, and after a moment it strikes you. You're not seeing the entirety of the markings, as the rest of them remain on the parent piece of ferrocrete. Were the scratches to be completed, they would read Renraku Kagagu Kabushiki Gaisha, the Japanese name for Renraku Applied Sciences, the branch of Renraku Asia responsible for material science. Okay. So what now? Search the storm drains, search for the killer, find the key to the stockroom. I can do all three. Can you tell me anything about this piece of armor? I own a street food cart. What makes you think I know anything about armor? Is it made of rice flour? I was hoping you could translate some Japanese on it. Oh, in that case I actually can help you. Let me see. It says Renraku Kagaku Kabushiki Gaisha. It's the Japanese name for Renraku Applied Sciences, the materials research branch of Renraku Asia. Where the hell did you get this anyway? I think it came from the person killing the Whampoan Elders. I don't know much about megas, but this seems like some pretty rare armor to find on a serial killer. I don't think off-the-shelf armor has this research mark, and it seems pretty high quality. You'd have to be well connected to get something like this. So the guy killing the Elders isn't just a murderer. He's got a lot of clout apparently. Hello again. Looking for information. Bye-bye. Hey again. Bye-bye. Hey again. Bye-bye. I'm doing well. Let me talk to you. Do you have a key to the storm drain system? Sure. Why do you ask? Drop a gun down the grate or something? Following up on a lead on the killer. In that case, take the damn key. You'll have to forgive me that I don't want to go down there with you. Knock yourself out, man. There's an entrance by the Jade Mountain restaurant. You can't miss it. Where in the Waka Waka is the Jade Mountain restaurant? There it is. Hello, Demergo. This man has a tired, world-weary demeanour about him. His eyes track your movements with a penetrating, critical precision. Something about him, the lines about his eyes perhaps, make you suspect he's seen a lot of terrible things happen. He lifts his cup of cheap soykaf as you approach. Let me guess, you're the freelancers the Elders are paying to look into the murders around here. That's right. Who are you? Call me Demergo. I'm not one of the Whampoans, but I've been here for long enough that they don't think twice about me being here. So what have you found so far? You're awfully curious for a random guy. Professional curiosity. I used to be with the New York Police Department as one of their thaumaturgical research division. Part of the CSI branch, except I did the magical investigation while the other guys pulled prints and checked blood samples. When I hear about shit like this happening, I keep my ear to the ground. Old habits, you know. Seems like you're more cut out for this job than I am. Elder Nug asked me to look into the killings after the first murder. She couldn't afford my fee though, so I took a pass. It's not just the money either. You see that stuff day after day. You pay a price. It eats away at you. You know what it's like to feel all that sickness and anger every day? To be asked to pick up a murder weapon and relive somebody's death? Feel it going into your neck, pleading in the voice of a dead woman for her killer to spare you? These days I'd rather interrogate the living, thanks. What are you talking about? I can read objects. It's called psychometry. A little trick I managed to pick up. Don't really know how. I hold something. I can tell you what happened to it, who owned it, how it killed someone, if someone loved it or was afraid of it. Useful, but it'll tax your heart. And before you ask, no, I'm not going to read anything you find. I already told Nuk I didn't want any part of this. If you want advice, I'll give you that, but I'm not getting drawn in any further than that. So aside from that, is there anything I can help you with?
I mean, besides you being an absolute bastard.
What can you tell me about the Whampoans? I don't know much, even though they've been here almost 2 years. I'm an outsider. They don't really accept anyone who's not as much of a tech nut as they are. I'm just the crazy mage that lives down the road. Ip's got some heavy-duty cyberware, basically an enforcer for the rest of the council. He doesn't seem to set much policy. Nug is a shaman that worships machine spirits. It's all a bunch of hokum, if you ask me. Magic is magic. Whatever you want to call the source is fine by me, but don't ask me to believe in the great spirit of electronics. But for everybody else, they tend to be an okay bunch. A bit strange, but that's fringe culture for you. They scrounge tech, rebuild it, sell it off. Some of them even have their own auto-fab shops. Their stuff's pretty high quality too. People from all over Asia come to shop around. They need something rare or unusual. Tight-knit little community, all things considered. What do you know about the murders? They started a couple of weeks ago. Elder Gan was the first to go. That's when Nug asked if I could look into them. He was ripped apart, arms wrenched out of their sockets, skin flayed away by a razor-sharp knife. The rest have been the same. Whatever did it sure didn't care about it being a clean death. The funny thing is, the Hong Kong police force was out here a few weeks before that, maybe a month ago tops. I know that doesn't seem like much, but the Whampoans don't usually let the police in here. That by itself is odd enough, but it gets even stranger. The officers were loaded for bear too, big guns and heavy armour with NBC seals, the works. They went into the parking garage near here, and there was some kind of gunfight. Never made it back out. When backup showed up, the Whampoans chased them away. Why would they let cops in and chase them away? That's exactly the kind of questions you should be asking, and that the elders refused to answer when I asked. Go take a look for yourself if you want. Watch out though. A gang's taken up residence in there, dealing drugs and BTLs. They call themselves the Red Spear. Not too violent if you don't push them, but be careful what you say. Tong wasn't afraid when he died. He was caught by surprise. That's not what I would have expected. With the amount of mess at each scene, the victims should have left behind a hell of a lot of fear and pain. Are you sure? Are you sure? I'm sure. Are you sure? Very sure. Tong died tonight, so the astral signature hasn't had time to fade. There was only a sense of perfunctory accomplishment. Then it sounds like this wasn't a crime of passion. A planned attack would have that kind of resonance, in my experience. It's possible the gore show is to throw off anyone looking for the actual reason. Yeah, if I wanted to kill someone and get away with it, I'd try and point the finger at some kind of monster. Basic Investigation 101 is usually the simplest explanation, but don't discount other possibilities. You think the mess wasn't incidental? It's a possibility. Ask yourself this. If the mutilation happened after Tong's death, why would a killer perform that kind of ritual? Serial killers who engage in that kind of ritual don't feel perfunctory about it, in my experience. It tends to feel more like they're taking communion. It's a religious or sexual feeling most of the time. If this didn't feel this way, I don't think the killer's an actual pathological killer. Tong was killed by a bladed weapon, a single strike to the base of his neck. That's a precision attack. Most knife fights end up with a lot of shallow cuts and blood over the victim and the attacker alike. If Tong was killed by a single strike, he definitely wouldn't have seen it coming, and you can bet your last Nuyen that whoever killed him is highly skilled with a blade. That says to me that the attacker is either a professional hitman or a practiced serial killer. It could be both too. Assassins don't tend to be the most empathetic people. Was the attack a thrust or a cut? It was a slash. Why? If the wound was a thrust, your attacker was using a knife of some kind. Anything over about 10 inches would be pretty hard to thrust with that kind of angle, and the next too high for a longer blade. If it's a slash, you're looking at a sword or cleaver attack. Both of those are popular with the triads. They make an awful mess and send a message that they're not to be trifled with. Sounds like your killer is the same one the police fought. That's certain. There's nobody around here that could go toe-to-toe with 4 HKPF heavies at close range and come out on top. At least not anyone with a penchant for blades. You find whoever's good with a sword and has a grudge against the Elders, you've got your killer. Whoever fought the police in the garage did it at close range with a blade. That's definitely unusual. I feel like he's telling me stuff before I'm, like, or he's advising me on the answer of things before I'm telling him what I've found. That's definitely unusual. There are a lot of people in Hong Kong who can fight with a blade, but not many of them could take on 4 police officers and win. That's a losing fight, even for the best gangers out there. Whoever you're looking for, they're no common killer. Sounds like your killer is the same one the police fought, that's for certain. There's nobody... You already said that. Bye. Bye then. Wait. Where was this restaurant as well? Didn't we get told that there was a restaurant we could go in? Oh, I need the key. I need the restaurant key. Which is probably from someone in here, right? Who's going to give me a restaurant key? You? No. You? No. Do you know what kind of armor this piece is from? Perhaps let me see it and I'll tell you what I can find out. Japanese markings. I don't recognize all of them, but this first one is Rinraku. Barely recognizable for anyone who's used to seeing the name in Hanzi. The composition appears to be high-density ferroceramics, probably boron carbide with an interwoven bioaramid mesh. The staining on the edges suggests it contained pockets of silica suspended in polyethylene glycol, similar to the commercially sold gel pack technology. This armor could have withstood a significant amount of impact force. Even standard 7.62mm rounds wouldn't have had much of a chance of penetrating it. So what could penetrate it? High velocity rounds with a tungsten carbide penetrator would be the most common. This is the kind of thing armor-piercing, discarding sabot rounds were designed to defeat. A die-coated melee weapon could do it as well, but there wouldn't be this kind of splintering at the edge. Same case with the EX explosive rounds, we'd see spalling on the backside. Whoever shot this off the owner came loaded with the right kind of weaponry to get the job done, that's for certain. And you don't carry that kind of ordnance around unless you're sure what you're facing. It's just too expensive for common carry. The plot thickens. Elder Nug, I have more information. No, I don't. Bye. Who's going to give me the fucking key for the... Find a key to Magpie's storeroom. Who's going to give me the key? Maybe I do have to go in the sewer. Maybe the key's in the sewer? Let's go. Hello, I'm here to solve a murder. Is there anybody here? Oh. Body parts. The disgusting pile of stinking human remains smells strongly of blood and the first stages of decay. The arms, legs and organs here are heaped together like stacked firewood, leaking blood and gore across the floor. The parts contained therein appear to have been sliced away from the parent body rather than torn or bitten. Judging by the clean edges on the cuts, the blade used to sever these parts was extremely sharp. I've seen plenty of disgusting stuff in my day, but this takes the cake. Look at it. Somebody stacked these parts up like they were making a little larder or something. Hello, serial killer. You got that right. Jesus. Looking closer at the pile, one part stands out. It's a severed forearm and it's covered in tattoos. Words in a Slavic language and a shining lighthouse adorn the forearm. And ring-like images are inked on the side of the finger. On the back of the hand, there's a skull inside a square. This arm belongs to a Vor. These are criminal tattoos. The lighthouse shows he tried to escape from prison, or planned to. The words say, all police are dogs. That skull inside a square means he served a prison term for robbery once. What is a Vor? A Vor is a thief. The Vori Vizakone is the name of the organization. Thieves in law. They have strict codes and police their own. But they don't sever arms and leave them in a pile of gore. How very exciting. Right, before we carry on venturing, let's go see what's in here. Storm drain. Despite the darkness, you see something glitter at the edge of the drain. Looking closer, it appears to be a necklace chain of some kind. It's become caught in the drain's grate, narrowly avoiding falling down into the deep pit. I will take it. Lifting the necklace out of the drain, you turn it over in your hand. There's a simple silver pendant on a chain. The silver pendant depicts a long-tailed bird in flight, a magpie. I see, so magpie's dead. Oh. Hello, big group of people. As you round the corner, you hear voices speaking just loudly enough for you to make out coherent sentences. The speakers are definitely not local. They speak with a slight Slavic accent and their clothing is heavily armoured. Around them are a number of crates and boxes, all mostly filled. It looks like the group is packing up. Yaroslav says the boat will be ready tomorrow morning. He's gotten everything arranged with the port authority. We move the goods to his warehouse, we'll handle loading them onto the ship, and we can get paid right there and then. I'll be glad to be done with this filthy place. I will too. I hate having to hide in these damn drains. It stinks down here. I can hear the devil rats running down the walkways. It's a mess and it's disgraceful. We shouldn't have to put up with this bullshit. And Alexander still isn't back from his little trip. We'll have to leave him behind if he doesn't get back soon. I know, Galina. Until Audrey says we're in the clear from the triads, we can't be seen with the goods on the streets. They find us. We go back to Vladistokhin's sausage casings. Those Red Dragon Mudaki don't screw around when it comes to protecting their turf. Who knows, maybe Alexander was stupid and they caught him. Either way, we'll have to lug this crap through the drains for a few clicks. Several boxes near the two women bear a distinctive label, a magpie in flight. The same emblem you saw stamped on Magpie's equipment in her shop. The orc woman sniffs the air suspiciously, and her eyes dart towards the dark tunnel you stand in. Before you have a chance to get out of sight, she locks eyes with you. Hello. What have we here? A curious little pest, come looking for things that don't concern him. What do we do with pests, Galina? Galina puts a hand on her shotgun barrel. We break them, Vasilisa, and then we hammer a spike through each of their throats so anyone who sees their bodies knows not to meddle in our affairs. I suggest you stay where you are, pest. I'm not here to meddle in anything, I'm just looking for a serial killer. Well, you found some, friend. Us. You think you can just walk out of here after finding us? Think again. Audrey's obviously the Vor here. You're just enforcers, and he doesn't want a scene while you're in Whampoan Garden. He's right, Galina. Audrey would have our heads if we were to break cover before the shipment was ready. Shit. You don't care about what we're doing? I have a job to do. This is incidental. So what do you want from us? You took Magpie's keycards, didn't you? Yes, we did. Alexander took one earlier. He said he wanted to sweep the stockroom, see if there was anything worth stealing. Here, we don't have time for this. We have to move this gear. You want to play detective? Go right ahead. Thank you. Let's go talk to Vasily Lally. You again. What now? Is there anything you can tell me about the murders that I might not know about? You think we'd get out a lot? I wouldn't have even known about the murders if I hadn't bothered to come out to get some soy calf last week. It's none of our business, and it isn't our problem, and I like it that way. I like it a lot. Okay, off we go. And I come out. Here. Right, does anyone have anything new to tell me? Can you tell me more about Elder Magpie? I found this necklace. Was it Magpie's? Yeah, that's hers alright. Where did you find it? In the storm drains. It was covered in blood. Well, shit. I guess she didn't disappear after all. At least not in the way I thought. If that's where you found it, she's got to be dead. So why would the killer not make a mess like he did with the others? I aim to find out. Good. This business keeps getting weirder and weirder. Someone killed my friend. You find him. You make him hurt for me. I will, Zippy. I'm going to go the long way around and talk to everyone. Because, obviously, that's what I do now. Why did you run around there? Hmm? Let's go talk to this man. You want nothing to do with me. Fine. Oh, I also want nothing to do with you. Breaker Hui, you are useless, and I don't like you. You too, Mo. Okay, let's go in the stockroom then. And save. Because this is where Alexander came, apparently, right? And there's some food. Despite the table's crude construction, an artfully laid meal awaits the owner. Several small dishes are filled with pickled vegetables, while a larger plate is arranged with long slices of raw meat. The meat is a pale pinkish white, like raw pork, and is covered with light soy marinade. Sounds delicious. Poking at the raw meat, you discover that it's surprisingly tender. What's more, it has the faint aroma of marinade, as if deliberately prepared. I'm not going to eat any. Jesus Christ. This box is packed full of odds and ends. It nearly overflows with a collection of knickknacks, souvenirs, and assorted personal effects. There's no rhyme or reason to the collection of items. They appear to have been thrown in haphazardly. Among the contents are charms from various temples, a wooden mask, and a paper fan. Examine the mask. The wooden mask is extremely light. It's been painted a pale white, and the surface is almost as smooth as porcelain. Delicate features and lifted eyebrows are matched with bright red lips and delicate carved teeth. The teeth have been stained a deep black. The small charms are square cloth packets, each approximately 1 inch wide and 3 inches tall. They come in a variety of bright colours and are embroidered with characters for prosperity, peace, wealth, and protection. Inside each appears to be a folded paper prayer or fortune written in Japanese. Unfolding the fan, you tilt it up towards the light to examine it. The image depicts an East Asian city from the 19th century or earlier. Curved roofs at sunset beside a deep blue river. 2 ships sail down the river, which is in turn spanned by a long wooden bridge. In the foreground, labourers carry buckets along the shore as a man on horseback rides in the opposite direction. In the distance, a pair of large red buildings dominate the city skyline, 1 large temple hall and a 5-tiered pagoda. As you step away from the box, you hear a slight click in the distance, the sound of the door's latch shutting. You are no longer alone in the storeroom. Uh-oh. Oh, hi, samurai. Standing before you is a man clad in heavy armor and bearing a katana on his hip. His skin is an ashen grey, his eyes dead white, his teeth are jagged and appear quite sharp. This is no man. This is a ghoul. Oh, Jesus Christ. The ghoul's blind eyes search back and forth as it regards you. It cannot see you, but you have a sense that it knows exactly where you are at all times. Ah, a hired gun. No doubt brought to bear against me by the Whampoan Elders, a means by which they can lift the curse plaguing them. I salute your tenacity, but I wonder, will you hear me out before raising your weapon to kill me? You're a ghoul, and you're talking? Yes, I'm not only talking, I'm reasoning as well. And since you have not attempted to kill me, your own higher faculties are engaged. I'm curiosity to you. You wish to know not only what I am, but what I have done. As for who, you may call me Gaichu. I know who you are. You're the one killing the Whampoan Elders. You are correct. I have killed all of the Whampoan Elders to date, though only Elder Magpie was according to my initial plan. I regret the deaths of the other Elders, but it was necessary. Go on. This affair began simply enough. As you may surmise, I'm not someone who can be seen in public without great risk. Whampoa Garden is an excellent place to hide. No police or triad presence, and minimal interest in things that lurk in the shadows. Unfortunately for me, Elder Nug discovered me through communion with her spirits. Rather than kill or chase me away, she came to me with a proposition. Nug and the other elders were having problems with one of their number, an elder named Magpie. An elder named Magpie had been holding many of their plans hostage, and would not budge. They could not remove Magpie, however, because her services were too useful to the Whampoans at large. Nug offered me payment to dispose of Magpie, and I accepted. Why the hell are we talking to this thing, Wolf? It's a goddamn ghoul, and you know what they're like. Really? What, pray tell, am I like? All teeth and claws and bad manners, I expect? Really? You want to crack jokes, you cannibal? You're the kind of monster that'd devour a family just because it's convenient. Remember the 162s, Wolf? He's just like them. The 162s were a gangwoo in the Barrens. Like that makes a bit of difference. Go on then, talk to the monster, but I'm keeping my finger on the goddamn trigger. I believe that we were speaking of the Elder's plans to have me kill Magpie. Surely, you must be a little curious about that. You didn't clean up all of her blood. I found some in the drain. Ah, unfortunate. I had thought I was careful enough. Having it on my hands must have obscured my sense of smell enough that I missed the last remnants in the drain. I disposed of Magpie's body by emptying the blood in her bathroom. Then I cut her up into more portable pieces. Those were placed in a plastic tarp, which I took to the storm drains and hid. It's unfortunate, but my survival depends upon consumption of raw metahuman flesh. Letting such nourishment go to waste would have been a foolish error. So why kill the other elders? I contacted the elders, not in person of course, and they arranged to exchange payment. I assumed that since the job was done, Nug would be a woman of her word. I was mistaken. I arrived at the nearby parking garage the elders had told me about. They cleared out the other Whampoans under some pretense, though I'm not sure what ruse they used. The elders never showed up. Instead, several members of the Hong Kong police force arrived. They were more heavily armed than usual, so I suspect they knew something of my nature. I saw scarring on the concrete from bullets and a blade. You killed them with a sword? And my hands, yes. My blindness precludes the use of ranged weapons. Unfortunate, since I was an excellent shot before I became infected, but my skills in grappling and kenjutsu have only increased. A battle of swords is a clash of souls. Mine was stronger than theirs, and they perished. A betrayal of that sort cannot stand. Not only was I not paid for my time and effort, the Whampoan Elders treated me like a common animal, and I am so much more than that. Reputation is everything, and I had none. I had hoped to build a network of contacts so that I would be able to continue finding work, but with that treachery, my hopes were dashed. I decided to become the monster that they feared. One by one, I have eliminated them. They know how to contact me, and could have ended their nightmare at any time by making amends. I would have asked for more money, but I would have ceased my hunt, yet they did not. Instead, they contacted you, no doubt asking you to eliminate me where the police had failed. So I ask you, what now? What will you do? Will you attempt to finish what the Whampoans started, or will you treat me with the same humanity I have shown you? Let me ask you some questions. What would you like to know? Did you eat the Elders? Some of them, not all. My condition requires that I consume raw metahuman flesh. I do not require a great deal to survive, perhaps 3 to 4 pounds a week. Consequently, there is vastly more supply than demand. Is this from your armour? Ah, yes. I felt a ragged edge on one shoulder plate. I assumed it was removed when one of the police officers shot at me with his rifle. The hazards of war include unkempt attire, unfortunately. Why would the Elders have you killed instead of paying you? Any number of reasons. They are notorious cheapskates, and will always try to save money when dealing with outsiders. It could be their natural inclination towards profit. They may regard me as subhuman, and therefore unworthy of respect. It could be that they felt I was too dangerous to allow to live. It could even be that they simply did not like me. The net result is the same, however. They reneged on a deal we brokered and attempted to have me killed. A message must be sent. Blood must be paid. As they have hired you to kill me, they have obviously not learned their lesson. If I let you live, what will you do? Kill the rest of the Elders, and anyone else they send to exterminate me. It is a matter of survival. Should I ever have the opportunity to work freelance again, potential employers need to understand the price of betrayal. These murders are my curriculum vitae in revenge. And what will you do? How will this story end? Come and work with me. I can be your face. A curious offer. And what of the Elders? Will you allow me the satisfaction of killing them? I want to see what they have to say first. I would counsel you not believe their words, but you have the sound of one who is wary as a matter of course. Very well. Let us wait until a bit later in the night. Most pedestrians will be off the street, and it will be easier for us to approach the Whampoa without being noticed. Okay. Are we now later in the night? Okay, everyone's gone. In we go. Let's go see what happens here then. Who's that? That's Nug. Hello, Nug. As you approach, Elder Nug's eyes widen. Her mouth falls open and the veins on her neck bulge. What are you doing? You brought this thing into our home. Quick, kill it before it kills us. Porter hefts his pistol warily, but does not aim it at anyone. Yeah, I have to say, this isn't a good idea. Why the hell is a ghoul in here, and why is it wearing armor? Calm yourselves. I'm not an it, and your elders know this intimately. Good evening, Elder Nug. I smell your fear, and I'm glad of this. It means you are learning the price of betrayal. Whoa, whoa. What the hell is going on here? Can someone explain to me why the ghoul is talking? The Elders have been lying to the rest of the Whampoans. We would never lie to the Whampoans. Our role is to protect this community, not lie to it. What proof do you have to back up your claims? I'm interested to hear what kind of evidence you have to support this theory, Wolf. As far as I can tell, this monster killed Tong and the others, and that makes him a threat that should be eliminated. The Elders hired Gaichi to kill Elder Magpie and make it look like she disappeared. You believe this vermin? This creature that feasts on metahuman flesh, that kills and dismembers our tribesmen? You're a naive and foolish man if that's the case. What proof do you have that Magpie is dead? Nook, please. In matters where an Elder is accused of breaking our law, the other Elders generally judge them. In matters where all of them have been accused, I am authorized to act as a judge. Make your case, Shadowrunner. I found Magpie's necklace in the storm drains. Porter takes a moment to examine the necklace. He nods at you. This is definitely Elder Magpie's. If you found it in the storm drain, that's suspicious, but hardly proof on its own. Of course it's not proof. The number of things lost down storm drains in Hong Kong must number in the tens of thousands per year. While unusual, it's hardly evidence of foul play. There was a large amount of blood in her shower drain. So what? Perhaps she cut herself and washed the cut off, or perhaps you are mistaken about it being blood. You're simply guessing as to what happened. That's true, it's a guess, and even if it is her blood, that doesn't prove that the Elders hired this ghoul to kill her. The Elders have always protected Whampoan Garden to the best of their ability. She hasn't been seen in a month, not by anyone. She wouldn't just disappear like that. That may be unlikely, but it's hardly impossible. You haven't established that the Elders were involved. All you've done is make suppositions about it. What proof do you have that we hired and betrayed this creature? I won't sit by and listen to idle accusations without any kind of concrete evidence to back it up. What about the fight with the Hong Kong police force? How do you mean? What does that have to do with the Elders and the ghoul? This is a piece of Gaichu's armor I found in the garage. The markings on it prove it. This is from his armor, definitely. But how does it prove that the Elders knew of the ghoul's existence? The police officers were abnormally armed and armoured, with much heavier gear than normal patrol. They were armed with armour-piercing, discarding sabot rounds. That's hardly standard issue. Lesser weapons wouldn't have broken that armour plate. If all they were looking for was a common fugitive, why be prepared to fight for a fight of that magnitude? Obviously, they knew what they were searching for. That doesn't mean we did. The evidence in the garage points to a fight with someone using a sword. We allowed the police into Whampoan Garden because they were hunting someone. They never told us who or why they were hunting for their quarry. It didn't have anything to do with us. I was only in the garage to collect payment from them. The ordinary residents were warned of the HKPF's arrival and were gone by the time I arrived. That's suspicious, I admit. It still doesn't prove the Elders knew it was a ghoul. You Whampoans don't allow police into the area. Why make an exception this time? The police were polite and asked our permission to enter. They were hunting a non-Whampoan. That was reason enough to allow them in. That doesn't add up, Nug. Why would the police ask for entry now? They've never been polite before, and they've always tried to force their way in. It just doesn't ring true to me. Did you ask them to come here in order to hunt this ghoul? Preposterous. Porter, you know what our community's like. We wouldn't lie over something like this. This ghoul has been lying the entire time, trying to cover his tracks. He's still brutally murdered several Elders. That's true. Those murders were vicious and cruel. I don't see any way to explain that away. This ghoul is a monster for how he killed Tong and the others. The scene of Tong's murder, like the others, was a deliberate sham. It was made to look more horrific than it was. I believe you. The blood smeared on the walls, the removal of his skin, that's a scene designed to evoke horror, not the scene of an actual fight. What do you have to say in response? This is a farce. We've dedicated ourselves to protecting the Whampoan tribe and everyone who lives in Whampoan Garden. Do you really believe outsiders are monsters over our word? We, who have only tried to end the killings? You've been duped, Porter. You and the Shadowrunner. I concur. Porter, you know me. You know the kind of person I am. I wouldn't be party to the killing of another Elder. I can't believe we're even entertaining the notion that we have to defend ourselves. We should be disposing of this ghoul instead. If you think I'll forget this, you're sorely mistaken. I will not tolerate this kind of insult. Magpie's gear was missing. Obviously missing. Why didn't Ip tell me that? He would have had to have noticed, and Magpie's shop is locked up, so why didn't he want me investigating? Pure supposition. You think it proves something that I didn't notice equipment was missing? Magpie's shop is always a horrible mess. Tang, you did a full inventory of Magpie's matrix servers. You assured us everything was running fine, and you'd be able to continue her work. I find it hard to believe you missed something as obvious as missing equipment, especially while searching her stock. The elders were all too happy to have the red spears move into the garage, almost like they wanted to keep anyone curious about the fight away. That's right, Ip. You even told me not to go find out what happened with the fight. You said the red spear gangers were moving in to leave them alone. Why would you tell me not to look into it? I was only trying to protect you from the red spears. They're dangerous, which is why I wanted to deal with them directly. That's all I've got. Alright, I think I have some idea of what's going on here. And? What do you believe the real story is? Gaichu seems to be telling the truth. Elders, too many facts don't add up. You're obviously hiding something, possibly a great deal, from the rest of the tribe. I'm sorry, but I have to take you into custody until the community can decide the extent and manner of your punishment. Death would seem appropriate to me, especially given that they kept up this charade even to you, one of the most trusted citizens. Don't you dare talk to me like that, you disgusting beast. Ip, no. Don't make this any worse than it is. Thank you, Wolf. I'll make certain that justice is meted out. You're free to go, and I will ensure payment is delivered to you. As long as you take Gaichu with you. I can't have him staying here. He'll be coming with me. Ding, 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 ding! Oh, he even joins my crew. I got an achievement. Hooray! As you exit the Whampoa into the sweltering night of the Kowloon streets, Gaichu tends to face you. I confess, I am unhappy with the decision to allow the Whampoan Elders to live. We should have killed them, if for no other reason than to maintain our reputation. That's why I let them live. That's not how we do things. I can accept this. I am unused to working with Shadowrunners, and assumed you would see things as I do. Hopefully there is much I can learn from you. Shall we leave this place? I'm eager to be done with the Whampoa Garden. Yes, let us leave this place. We investigated a murder. All right. The MTR rockets noiselessly towards Hioi, along the edge of Kowloon Bay. The black water glitters in the night with the light of 1,000 reflected storefronts. Gaichu stares sightlessly out of the window, one hand pressed to the glass. The plot by the elders is exposed, and Porter Lamb is in your debt. You have a new ally, and the respect of the Whampoans. Sometimes, everything goes right on a job. You count yourself lucky this was one of those times. Nailed it. Right, so last time, or in the last game, you'd run around town and talk to everyone multiple times. I don't know if this is one of those times. He waves the shaken man inside, propelling him forward with a final pat on his back. People don't realise that you've got to check on internal weapons as well as external ones. Are we talking the rubber glove treatment? No, nothing so crude. Oh, I just noticed a little cat on his back. That's cute. I think it's like a demon cat, actually. Look at that eye. You just need the right technique. Matter of fact, I caught a guy just last week with a phosphorus grenade in his leg compartment. Now, what did you do? Let me guess, he set it off in his leg compartment. Disarmed him, of course. Got it back behind the bar now. I'm going to blow it off in the river. Impress some girls. You looking for a pat down yourself? I'll be good, I promise. You break that promise and I break you. Now what do you want? Are you a member of the family that owns this place? Sure am. Frederick Kaffai. Some call me Freddy. Most call me shit. No, please stop. Or something along those lines. I'm also the current record holder for Club 88 pitch and toss, which is to say, I throw deadbeats harder and farther than anyone else around these parts. High water marks is that piece of tape over yonder. Guy was some orc too. Hefty, but he simply soared that day. Are you running any business on the side? Nah, I may take the occasional payment to look the other way, or be in the can when a fight breaks out. But I have enough on my plate that I can't really take on much else. Training, you see. I love what I do, but you gotta work hard to stay in peak condition. I've also got some next steps in mind, so I'm working even harder towards that. Big plans, you just wait and see. I also play the drums. Why are you searching some people and letting others in? This is a private club. There's 3 kinds of people I let in. Members, guests of members, and people who make a good case. The latter 2 get a really good search before they go in. Unless they're with Kindly Cheng or the Emperor of Japan or something. I don't care if someone has a cyber spur or holdout pistol or whatever, but we can't have serious weapons on non-members inside. Ma sells some big stuff, but she puts electronic trigger locks on her merchandise until they're out of the door, so people don't get dumb ideas. This is no assassination safe zone. This is a no assassination safe zone. Serious weapons go into the weapons check, unless you're a member. That way, if a big firefight ever breaks out, the members will have the upper hand. That is clever. We keep the killings very rare. Most happen when some members get all fired up and decide to settle score with box cutters or something. So I'm a member now? You work for Kindly, as a Shadowrunner, no less. That makes you a member. Remember the rules. No fighting, unless you know it comes down to that and you're ready to skip off the concrete. No killing either. If you've got legitimate killing business, go do it somewhere else. People come here to have a good time. You're really just trying to minimize collateral damage, aren't you? Pretty much. Okay. Who are you? Stephen Dynamite. A disheveled man in filthy rags teeters on the sidewalk, wobbling on unsteady legs. His bloodshot eyes dart about desperately, and the acrid sweet odour that wafts off him buzzes unpleasantly on your nostrils. You okay, man? You have to help me, man. I need your help. Break his grip. The man is thrown to his knees on the pavement. His mouth forms a comical O. He looks up at you, and a crooked smile cracks his ruined face. He makes an unsteady bow in your general direction. I could use someone like you. I'd make it worth your while. How much money could a wreck like you possibly have? Oh, don't let my appearance fool you. The corner of his mouth curls bitterly. He leans in to speak, and as he does so, you glance down and notice that his tattered clothing bears designer logos. I want you to take a message from me to Handsome Lee. Never heard of him. Now who are you and why are you touching me? I'm Stephen. Stephen Dynamite. Look, you gotta help me. I've been poisoned. That crap that Lee sold me put bad things in my head. Whenever I close my eyes, I see dark, narrow tunnels. So many hands grabbing, razor sharp, teeth gnawing, and the children. Bad things in your head? Are you talking about hallucinations? The junkie stares into space. A faint trickle of saliva makes its way down his chin. No, not exactly. More like nightmares. They feel very real. Teeth biting. Faces. Faces I knew. You know the whole nightmare thing has been going around. It's not just you. No, this isn't that. I'm telling you, I was poisoned. I know it. You'll help me, won't you? I'm not a charity. If you want my help, you gotta pay for it. I can pay you. I have means. Honestly, you look like you've pumped all of your new into your veins already. I don't deny my problems, but I do have money. I've done worse than you'll ever do, Shadowrunner, and they still pay me for it. What did you do? I used to invent things. Terrible things. What kind of things? Bombs, the most potent explosives. I sold them, didn't care to whom. At least, not back then. It doesn't sound like a great line of work for a man with a conscience. It isn't. Alright, Stephen, I'll take your message to Lee at no cost. Then tell Lee what he's done to me, that I need relief. Tell him that I want... You've been a little vague about that, Steve. Need something in particular? I want my money back. Poison, nightmares, money back. Got it. Just please come back, and please hurry. Okay. Option, get some rest. Why can I optional get some rest? Let's go talk to some people, see if there's anyone that wants to say hello. She's busy counting out cred sticks, blah blah blah. You pay a lot of dues to the Yellow Lotus? I do, but that's how the system works. I pay kindly for rent, Steel Arm Lou gets money because he's my superior, Lucky Ping receives a finder's fee for goods she sends my way, and Grandfather Woe took me in. He gets paid because he's family, and I owe him for getting me off the streets. You join the organisation, you have to pay the dues. It's the same as anywhere else, and it beats the hell out of being homeless in Kowloon. And you don't mind paying? Not really. Grandfather Woe saved my life by taking me in, you know? Life expectancy for homeless kids in Aberdeen isn't very good. Because of him, I have skills and friends who will pay to make use of them. It's a good life, all things considered. She leans back against a stack of cages, causing the snakes within to hiss and snap at the glass. I'm just a blue lantern, a foot soldier. I answer to White Ming, who I studied with on Widang Mountain. He's the 49er, the made man who runs our crew. I don't pay him because he takes his own cut of what we make. Okay, thanks, Shen. Then we've got some smugglers. Two men in dirty synth leather jackets look up from their conversation as you approach. They both look haggard, their shoulders slump with exhaustion, and neither appears to have shaved this morning. What do you want, man? We're talking here. I'm new in town. Figured it'd pay to make the connections I can. You chose the wrong day, stranger. We're moving further downstream, and we're doing it today. There's something wrong with this place. Too many bad dreams. What sort of bad dreams? The kind that bite. You'll see it too if you stay here long enough. The long haul. And the thing in the ivory crown. I've already seen it. Lots of people in town dreamed it, or something like it. From the folks I've talked to, there were a bunch of different versions. Some people turned away from the corridor, went down alleyways, that kind of thing. I've never even set foot in the walled city before, stranger. So tell me, why the hell am I dreaming about it all of a sudden? I don't even know what the damn thing looks like on the inside. I think there's something strange going on, something magical, and the walled city's where it's coming from. It's a curse, nothing else it could be. Everybody knows that place is haunted, a living hell full of evil spirits, and poisoned ki. If you're not careful, you'll wind up trapped inside with the rest of the human garbage. That isn't going to happen to us, no way. Only the lowest of the low would wind up in the walled city. So like he said, we're going further downstream. As soon as our things are packed, we're out of here. Damn right, this place is a dump anyway. Let's try our luck in Macau. To hell with this place. We could say the same to you. You're staying here in Hoi after all. Of the three of us, you're the one who's most likely to need it. That is true. I am going to need it. I am going to need it. Hey look, we have points to spend, but probably only for this guy. What have we got? Red Samurai. Gaichu gains a defensive ability that has +2 armor, +1 dodge, costs 1 AP, 5 cooldown, or RIP. A claw ability that does 2 damage and 2 bleeding damage for 2 rounds. Or a defensive ability. I'm going to choose whip. I'm going to choose whip. I'm going to choose whip. And then took it like a baby. Hey, Handsome Lee. It's muggy out, even for Hoi in monsoon season. You pause to mop your brow. Suddenly you feel eyes upon you. As you glance up, you meet the tranquil gaze of a man half hidden in the shadows. He's wearing a crisp white tailored shirt, shirtless, shirt sleeves neatly rolled, with a dark grey silk tie and smart black trousers. If he's sweating, you don't see it. The man tilts his head ever so slightly in greeting. A newcomer, welcome. Handsome Lee's the name, purveyor of enhanced sensory experiences. I can see you've got some tales to tell. You mentioned you sold enhanced sensory experiences. Let's see what you've got. Oh, you sell drugs. Nice. You're not from around here, are you? And why do you ask? Because you've got an accent, Lee. It's barely there, but I can hear it. You're right. I'm not from here. Keep going. I was born in Taiwan. I was forced to flee during the Nationalist War. I hear you have a slight accent as well. Seattle? Emphasis on the slight. The corner of his lip curls smugly. It's your move, apparently. Good guess. Redmond Barrens. Handsome Lee suddenly fixes you with his gaze, sizing you up. His face is impassible. Nasty place. It's toughened me up. I've nothing to be ashamed of. I know what you mean. My own life experiences have left me ready for anything. But we can discuss this another time, yes? Let us now talk about business. I am a businessman, after all. So how about it, friend? Can I show you my wares? I ran into someone with a message for you. I think I can guess. Stephen Dynamite? How'd you know? It was about time for him to contact me. I know his cycles very well. He's one of my most loyal customers. Not for long, Lee. The latest batch that you sold him has sent him on a really bad trip. Interesting. And what does he want from me? What do you think? He wants his Nguyen back. There was absolutely nothing wrong with my latest creation. It was painstakingly designed to elevate the senses and titillate the spirit, a smooth high that I have indulged in myself. Now, if the unfortunate Stephen happened to dilute my masterpiece with other lesser substances, I can hardly be held responsible. You can use all the flowery language you want. I'm not leaving here empty-handed. He stares at you for a long moment, then reaches into his breast pocket. With a deft motion, he pulls out a small packet and presents it to you. There is no money, not anymore. I have expenses, just as I'm sure that you do. But here, give this to Stephen with my regards. What's in the package? A freebie. It's what our dear Stephen Dynamite really wants, whether he'll admit it or not. Deliver it with my compliments. His brain's pudding already. More drugs won't help him. Of course they won't, but they will bring relief. And if I'm not mistaken, that's what Stephen is itching for right about now, correct? What good is this temporary fix anyhow? Why bother? It's a fair question. Stephen's problems won't be resolved overnight. My little gift simply lets him know that someone cares. The hell it does, it keeps him from getting clean. I seriously doubt that withholding drugs from Stephen would do anything but hurt my pocketbook. He's not trying to kick his habit. He'd just go to another dealer, so why shouldn't I foster my relationship with the poor man? Anyway, take this, give it to him. It should help him, at least in the short term. Okay. So, let's go and give them to him. Hello, I'm relieved to see you. I thought you might not return. Can't trust anyone. This is a bad place. Steve, I hate to say it, but you're not looking so hot. I don't want to sleep because of these nightmares. I'm ravenous, so ravenous, but food makes me ill. I've got the shakes real bad too. I just want this to end. Anyway, thanks for talking to that little bastard for me. So, you got my money? Lee didn't have your money. He gave me this to pass off to you instead. The junkie's eyes light up at the sight of the packet. Oh ho. Just to warn you, it's the exact same stuff that you thought was poison. I must have been delirious or high at the time. Give it to me. This is a terrible idea. You're messed up bad enough as it is. The junkie indicates the holes in his clothing and the bruises and scars in his body. Can't get any worse. Hand over that packet. I can't let you do this to yourself. You take another hit and I'm going to hit you. Got it? The junkie cowers before you. His eyes blaze with anger, but he relinquishes his grip. I hope you feel proud of bullying sad sacks like me. I didn't really want that hit anyhow. I'm going to do you a favour by taking this packet away from you. Yeah, sure you are. I am trying to help you, Stephen. Now I want you to tell me about these dreams of yours. You want to know about my dreams? Why? Because I want to help you, you idiot. These aren't like ordinary dreams. They're visions. They're so real. I put all kinds of substances into my body, and I've never experienced anything like this. You were practically raving the last time we talked. Explain your dreams to me again clearly this time. I'm walking through a series of dark, narrow halls. It stinks to high heaven, and I run into more and more people as I move forward. The people are jostling me, but I'm starving like I haven't eaten for days. I just want some food, so I press on. I start seeing children in the crowd. Children with terrible burns, disfigured faces. All these people are grabbing at me. And then I see teeth all around me. I feel the teeth on me. Bathed in sweat from the effort of speaking, he cradles his head in his arms. Okay, Steve, let's talk about the drugs. You said that you're on a lot of them, right? More than I can count. I used to get my kicks from some explosives. I loved blowing stuff up, seeing glass splintering, solid walls disintegrating, flames licking the sky. Not anymore. Now I stick to needles and pills. You blew stuff up? I was a bomb maker. I designed custom ordnance. It was a dream job. Plus it was very lucrative. Megacorps couldn't get enough of the devices I invented. I was too high on my own ego to wonder what they were up to. What were the Megacorps doing then? Some were fueling wars. They often managed to sell to both sides in conflicts all over the world. Casualties be damned. That's nothing new. War profiteering is as old as war itself. Yes, war. I thought my bombs were used in wars against militias, mercenaries and armies, and I didn't think of them as people. But the weapons I developed got used against civilian targets. I'm from Guizhou. Sichuan had taken over much of the province, but pockets of resistance remain. These are big political struggles, actions removed from the lives of ordinary people. Yet the village where I grew up in Guizhou, Guizhou, I will pronounce it Guizhou from now on, was annihilated. These were tobacco farmers, winemakers, peasants, not military. I recognized the distinctive patterns, the traces that were left behind. These were my bombs, used to shatter the landscape of my childhood. Why would Sichuan bother to bomb a village? To break the spirit of the people. It broke mine. Now I just want to forget. Drugs help sometimes. When your village was bombed, did you lose anyone that you knew? I knew them all, from the frailest elders to the littlest children. My own family died too. We weren't always close. Pyromaniac developers don't fit in well with agricultural backwaters, but they were my only kin. Okay, I think I see what's going on here. I guess that I must be feeling guilty about the bombs, huh? All of the blood on my hands. I can feel it all the time. I just like bombs. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. How am I going to make this go away? Did my character just run off? Why can I control myself whilst we're having a conversation? How am I going to make this go away? How will I live with myself? The drugs help me forget, but... do something to undo the harm you've done. I don't know, use your imagination. The junkie sways mutely in place, gnawing on his chapped lower lip. A minute passes before he manages to speak again. I wouldn't know where to begin. I need time to think. Children of the future, man. Find a charitable organisation and put some hours for starters. The man lowers himself into a squat and hugs his knees, his gaze somewhat absent and his cheeks glazed with tears. There are a couple of shelters where I used to crash when I was less down and out than I am now. There were lots of families I could help out. But in the end I would probably need to go home to Guizhou when I can bring myself to... I'll tell you what, I'll think about it. I'll think real hard. Thinking about it isn't enough. You need to be doing something. Yeah, I will. I promise. Hooray, well done, Steve. Thank you for your help. I'll think about what you said. Good. Right then. Oh, now I'm allowed in the doctors. Hello, Dr. Man. Hey, my fellow countryman returns. You want some chips and dip? Help yourself. It's on the engine block. There's a big Sahara Combat League race tonight. Everyone's coming over. You want to come? No, I bet Kindly's keeping you busy. You're from the UCAS Midwest. How'd you land in Hong Kong? Well, that's a long story and kind of personal. It involves some jobs, a girl, a real good reason to leave Chicago, a whole shit ton of guns and money. Guns and money were involved? Sounds like a good story. Shadowrunning? Yeah, stuff like that. I was a hardcore vehicle rigger back then, before Johnny Law cracked down on road rigs. Man, those were the cowboy days. Freaky as hell, but great to remember. We'd rebuild trucks in chop shops, reinforce the frames, bolt on armour, mod the suspension with robotics, drive them right through the front of windows of buildings, and then bash inside Lone Star Cruisers on the way out. Good times. You do that in Hong Kong, you get auto barricades and missile enema. Crying shame. Anyway, I needed to get out of Cheat Town, spread my wings. You know how that goes. Chicago? Are you following the news of the quarantine? Yeah, I am. It's a terrible thing that happened there. My old hood is inside the containment zone. A lot of good peeps locked behind that wall. Supposedly, it's insect spirits, but it's being covered up. I know. I saw the leaked material too. Some of the footage is pretty convincing. Mega Vita's plague, bug spirits, not sure which is more scary. Hell, maybe it's the Walking Dead. Think about it. We've got at least 4 HVV variants. It's only a matter of time until we get zombies. I take zombies over these bug spirit things, tell you what. Hong Kong seems like a long way to go just to get a break from Chicago. Sometimes a guy just needs a change of scene. And a girl was involved in getting you there, huh? Yeah, there was. That's a story for another day. Hey, it's grand digging up the wreckage of the past, Wolf, but time's wasting. I left Chicago, I landed in the Kong. After a while of running the Kong shadows, I landed here in Chrome Alley. That's really the gist of it. Now I'd better get back to earning a living. Okay, bye then. It was nice to talk to you. Right, who else do we have to talk to? Maximum Law. Oh, this is the guy that knew the Whampoans, right? Maybe he's all friendly with me now. Hey, Wolf, I was hoping you'd come down. You got a minute? What's up? Kindly had Whampoa burn your sin. Word is you're doing work for her, not normal Yellow Lotus stuff. Shadowrunning. Yeah, I'm now an unusual asset. Wicked. That's pretty ironclad, Wolf. Pretty vicious. If you do good, you'll be noticed. Listen, if you've got some info about runs, I can make it worth something. We Whampoans call that kind of thing metadata. Whampoans like to get the word on the street from the active operators. Doesn't Whampoa's service to their clientele include not prying? It's not prying, it's gathering information. The world runs on information. If you've got metadata for me, great. If not, see if I care. Augmented reality goggles aside, this gig gets really boring sometimes. You ever want to talk shop? I'm here. Tell me about Whampoa. We're pretty much the best, yo. What you want to know? Just tell me about the tribe generally. Who are you guys? You really are new to the Kong, aren't you? We're the Neo Matrix Collective. We run the Hong Kong Data Haven and the Kong Shadow Nets. We are the Shadow Nets. We are the Shadow Nets. Outside the corporate nets is the rest of the Kong, and in those shadows you will find threads of golden light like a vast spiderweb that carry information. Those golden threads and that web is Whampoa. Law gives a curt virile nod. My buddy Red Storm wrote that. Pretty wicked, huh? Anyway, we're bleeding edge on the path to the singularity. We're doing things no one else is doing anywhere, except maybe Denver or Tokyo. Our homeland is the Matrix, and we're building a society of truth and expertise and information. You seem very outspoken, less modest than many Hong Kongers. Is that tribal? I am more outspoken, yo. I don't need the meat-space rituals. Modesty is inefficient. Is that a Whampoan thing? For those of us who are the most dialed, maybe. We're post-cultural. I hardly see any of this meat space. Our meat space headquarters is a big 20th century ship that's totally awesome. Whatever, it's just meat space. Whampoa is bleeding edge on the path to becoming a singularity. And in the singularity, there's going to be nothing but straight up truth. Boom, truth. What's a Whampoan doing on Kindly's turf? You a liaison? What am I doing here? I'm an ambassador. I broker Whampoa's services to Huey. Emissaries like me are all over the Kong, tying it together in an invisible network. So, you work for Kindly, doing tech for the Yellow Lotus? Well, I do some work directly with Kindly, but my focus is more street level. We're all part of a big machine, each piece playing a critical role. So you're just a little cog in a big machine, huh? What, hey? I'm an important part of an ascendant entity. If you're ignorant, yo, that's not my problem. Does Whampoa provide any technical services for Hong Kong's poor? Sure we do. We run pirate networks. Our services are way more than ordinary people want. You can get prepaid bandwidth with a corporate carrier for fractions of a nuyen, but if you're selling your soul, they monitor it. If you want to operate unmonitored by corporate algorithms, you've got to fly through the Whampoan network. It's the only place to be. Whampoans are coders and deckers for criminals, is that right? We do tech for anyone in the Kong. Outside the corporate umbrellas, anyone can use our networks if they pass our vetting and can pay what we bring. It's mostly the extra-legal element that needs our skills. Thanks. Outsiders don't really understand us. Maybe you can, if you're really smart. We're in a whole different world than most people. Like, I'm seeing 3 streaming videos, live network stats in my goggles right now. Time's wasting, Wolf. I had no idea I could just run around whilst I had these conversations. Law kicks one of the bins at his feet, the sea of electronic parts rattling. You gonna buy something? Your elders hired a gold assassin to... I know, those piss-drinking, pig-sucking... Law erupts into a torrent of livid, awkward profanity. Some sort of pidgin of Cantonese and tech-speak. He catches himself short, pulls himself back together and clenches his fists. You know whose fault this is? Nuke. She was always had it in for Magpie because Magpie was a genius. That turbo-snorting woo-woo idiot and her lackeys almost destroyed the Whampoa network. I hope they string the bones of those morons from the gutters with a bunch of monofilament wire from the blessed autofab. I've heard the rumours. What's the full story? What do you know? We need to port this data out to our whole tribe. I will tell you everything. He listens in prolonged silence as you lay it all out. When you're done, he shakes himself as if waking from a bad dream. Whoa, for real, man? This is going to go down in tribal lore, Wolf. Here, This is a cred stick I keep on hand for when people have special information. Take it. You've earned it. I want to think now and share files. Catch you later, buddy. You gotta go? Okay, watch your back and shoot straight and all. I got things to do too. Sure you do. Sure you do. Right. Tell him that I did it. Is our friend Stephen's hunger assuaged? Yeah, he's all taken care of. I think he's going to be okay. Good. That's good to hear. I admit I was a little worried about Stephen. I'm here to sell experiences, not contribute to a man's early death. Now let's get back to business. You said you came from Taiwan. I want to hear more about that. If you like. We've worked together in a sense. If Stephen hadn't sent you, he'd have sent somebody else, and things might not have gone as smoothly. I suppose I owe you for that. Well, I wasn't going to say it. Indeed, so where to begin? I grew up in a Taipei ghetto, not unlike the Redmond Barons. Worked my fingers to the bone to get an education. Life's tough all over, Lee. I'd be willing to bet that half the people in Huey have the same kind of story. As you say, but this is my story, which I am telling because you asked me to. So if I may continue. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, sorry. I was studying chemistry. I was promised a job by a megacorp. I thought I had found a way out, but that all vanished overnight with the war. How'd you end up in Huey then? Surely your credentials gave you access to other options. I had a fiancée and a widowed sister with 2 young sons. We couldn't stay. We went to the manager who wanted to hire me. I begged her to use the megacorp's resources to get us out. But when I made my request, the woman laughed in my face. With the war raging around us, she no longer had a use for me. It wasn't her job to save women and children. She made that abundantly clear. That's cold. Where are your fiancé and your family now? We were separated in the chaos. I scoured every rendezvous point that we'd ever discussed. I left messages. Nothing. I'm sorry, man. I suppose Hong Kong isn't a bad place to hole up and wait for information. That's true, but I've long since given up. I respect that you've lived a rough life, yet still know how to hope. Maybe. I'm stubborn that way. I like your attitude. I had wanted to escape, pretend I hadn't grown up in poverty and squalor. Do you want to know why I chose to live here, in the shadow of the walled city, rather than seek out more legitimate prosperity? I loved the fine things I experienced when I seemed poised to enter the upper echelons of society, but it was all based on lies. And I love chemistry. I'm very good at what I do. Here I can use my talents. Nobody gives a shit what I wear or how I speak, just so long as I deliver the high. There's something honest and forthright about junkies and their urges. The megacorps, on the other hand, are rotten with hypocrisy. Truer words have never been spoken. No, they have not. Now let's get back to business, shall we? I have a wide variety of happy experiences for sale. I've got family memories at a pill. They're almost as good as the real thing. Or a powder for those memories you'd rather forget. Whatever you might need, Handsome Lee is here to help. Nope. Kindly Cheng appears to be nearing the end of a harsh exchange with Strangler Bao, who's listening intently. So you tell that little pustule that Auntie Cheng isn't fucking happy. You get it? Not happy at all. Don't tell him that I'm displeased. Don't tell him that I didn't take it well. She slams her shot glass on the table. Tell him that I'm extremity chopping mad, and if he doesn't want what happened to Yi to happen to him, he'd better get his head and his ass wired together and get me that payment today. Was that message clear enough, Mr. Bao? Yes, Mrs. Cheng. I'll explain things to him in terms he can understand. Ah, our newly minted Shadowrunner. How are you taking to your new role? So far so good. I had no doubt, my sweet. I had a nose for talent. And how is Mr. Gunshow doing in his new life? Don't worry, I have my eye on him. Very good, my dear, very good. Was there something specific you came to see me about? Any word on the plastic face man? Not yet. He's elusive. Clearly a man who knows how to stay out of the public eye. But I have my network running working day and night. Network running working. Day and night to find him. That doesn't make sense. And I still have some favours that I can call in if need be. I'll find him. It's only a matter of time. I have good news as well. One of my people managed to tap the communications of the HKPF Special Duties Unit. If any word of our plastic-faced friend or of Raymond Black crosses their door, I'll be the first to know about it. For now, go about your business. I'm sure that more work will come your way any moment. I will contact you when there's news. Marvellous. Reliable Matthews trailer. The side of Matthews' trailer looks freshly scrubbed. It reeks of kerosene. Broad swathes of the flaking paint have been removed, revealing the brittle plastic siding discoloured by years of acid rain. You can still see the faded black traces of erased graffiti. It reads Job Stealer. Something thumps inside the trailer. You could easily peer in one of the windows. Inside are dingy, cramped living quarters, cluttered with broken drones and unwashed dishes. What looks like a rumpled, motley-coloured shag carpet is heaped over about half the tiny space, obscuring most of the furniture. After a moment, the shag carpet moves. It rises about a foot and surges slightly towards the window. Then it stops, pulsing and fidgeting. It's hard to see it clearly through the built-up grime in the window. Wipe the window. The carpet is actually plush-covered drones. Teddy bears, raccoons, little dolls. There must be 24 inside the caravan. All companionship models. They're all looking at you, as if they realise you're not Matthew. They watch, fidgeting. Then, in one coordinated motion, they all lie down and go dormant again. That's really very, very fucking weird, Matthew. Wolf, beautiful. So what do I owe the unexpected pleasure? Why, you're not here for some robotics, are you? Well, shucks. It looks like someone vandalised your trailer. Oh, what? You mean the paint? That's just some neighbourhood kids. Good kids, having a lark. I nearly fell over laughing when I saw it this morning. Why would someone call you a job stealer? No idea. Drones are job makers. I know what you're thinking, Wolf. I think it myself. Drones take jobs. Well, medicine takes jobs from undertakers, and sewer drones take jobs from people who used to crawl through filth to feed their families. When you see a drone messenger or maid, it's easy to think, that used to be a person. Could be. But that person can do another job now, and they can have a drone themselves. Everyone's better off. Why, the same people who call drone dealers job stealers often themselves come to me for... hey, let's not get all wound up on this stuff. It's too cheery a day for running off on our heads. What exactly are the drones you sell used for? Just about everything. They're helpers to metahumans in all sorts of useful ways. Drones cook, clean, carry messages, lift heavy loads, tend to delicate tasks. Why, drones can even care for the infirm and provide companionship to children. Think about it, beautiful. All the boring, dangerous, painful jobs that people used to do. The jobs that drones do now. He glances around Hyoi and up at the walled city looming above. Despite his bright eyes and gleaming smile, his voice sounds almost thoughtful. Because of the mechanization, we don't force workers to breathe in as many chemicals in the refineries. We don't make teenage girls pick silk cocoons out of boiling water. Not anymore. Drones help us. They're really something else, ain't they? How do people in Hyoi feel about drones? How do people here feel about drones? Why, they love them. Just about every household that can afford drones has drones. You sure you don't want to try out this little UC2 tarantula? It's a great entry-level personal assistant. Drones free people to take skilled jobs and make the economy more efficient, and drones give poor people services they couldn't ever afford otherwise. Wow, Wolf, just smell that brisk spring air. This topic is fascinating, really fascinating, but I have to get back to work. I've noticed you've got a lot of drones in your trailer. Drones in the trailer? Oh, I think I have a couple in there, probably ones I'm fixing. Look like a full playpen to me. Funny thing about drones, when you see a few, they always look like so many more. Weirdest thing, strange little fellas. Let's not talk about maintenance, it's boring. I bet there's something you need today. Bye, you freak. Why, if it isn't the young one from before? Ah, can't you see we're busy? I do see you're busy. Goodbye. Let's get my ass in here. See if she's got anything new for sale. Crafty shoe. Still don't know anything about the dreams, I'm afraid. I'm working on it, though. But do you have anything fun to buy? That's the question, isn't it? The answer is no. Bye, Crafty. You've been a hoot. Right, what did I need to do? Go to there, get some rest. And get paid. Let's talk to our guys first. How you doing, Duncan? You look different, male. Do I? Yeah, like I flipped forward a few chapters instead of turning a page. I mean, you look like you, just not the you I knew. Sounds like song lyrics. No more song lyrics for me. I gave that dream a long time ago. Remember how Lockjaw used to make fun of my singing voice? He said I sounded like a frog with a heart on. I thought my voice was distinctive. I mean, I'm no Mariah Mercurial, but... So what about you? How are you doing? Kind of pissed at Raymond for getting us into this whole thing. Don't misplace your anger. This isn't Raymond's fault. Whoever took him, or killed him, they're the ones to blame. And they're the ones who are gonna pay. Damn right. You seem like a natural at leading this crew, Mel, but I still don't completely understand. What do you get out of being a Shadowrunner? What do I get out of being a Shadowrunner? Freedom. I'm not a cog in the corporate machine. Sure you're not. Come on, Mel. Think. Of course you're a cog. Everyone's a cog. Whether you're working for them, consuming their crap, getting brainwashed by news media that they control, voting for the people that they put in front of you, or being policed by the people they own, you're a cog. And you're the lowest kind of cog. A Shadowrunner. A disposable asset. Sinless. Slithering through the cracks of society, doing jobs that are too dirty for the corps to do themselves. You don't even appear on a corporate balance sheet. Runners can be more than that. They can move their own agenda, fight the power. I've never heard of a story where a Shadowrunner did something other than kill someone, steal something, or perpetrate some other sort of shady shit. But good luck with that. You thinking about getting chromed up? With cyber? Oh my god, how many times are you going to ask me that? Oh, at least a couple more dozen times. You always have the best reactions. I told you one time I was thinking about getting it when I was 13. Let it go. I'm not going to pollute my body with that shit. You? I'm a mage, remember? Chrome and magic go together like crude oil and peanut butter. Yeah, I guess you got a point there. That's a good thing, by the way. Better to keep yourself whole and in touch with the world around you. I may not have magic, but I know that's true. I want to talk about you and me. Yeah, I guess now's as good a time as any. You start. You're not acting like the Duncan Wu that I grew up with. What made you decide to become a cop? I needed structure bad. You know that better than anyone. I was always hardcore when we met. Mr. Ultraviolence. I'd do anything to get a rise out of the guys I was rolling with. Gouging eyes, inverting knees, curb stomping. That shit got me cheers. I was like a pit fighter, bloodletting for the crowd, and I learned to enjoy it. But I never learned how to block out the memories of their screams when I was lying in bed at night. The guilt started eating me alive. And then I was scared to be alone with my thoughts, so I tried to drown them out with all the things that you drown things out with. I remember you were pretty messed up when we met. Yeah, I was, but I got a lot better after we found a squat together. and even better when we went to live with Ray. I was still a violent son of a bitch, but basically under control. That was because of you, Wolf. You were the voice of reason and the brains. Yeah, sounds about right. Of course it does. When we ran the streets together, I was the muscle and you called the shots. You pointed and I hit. But later, after Ray got me some counselling, I realised that I let you call the shots so that I wouldn't have to, because I knew that what I wanted was wrong. By following your lead, I was deflecting my own guilt onto you. It was your decision, not mine. I could just knock heads and walk away clean, you know. Don't look at me, I'm just doing what I'm told. And then you left. Without you there, I knew that I was in serious trouble, the poster boy for anger management issues. Raymond could provide a stable environment, a decent therapist, and money for prescriptions, but you know Raymond, he's an egghead engineer with a philanthropic streak, not a drill sergeant. And a drill sergeant was what I needed. I needed structure and discipline in a way that he couldn't offer me. I needed a cage to keep myself in line. So I found myself a cage made of rules and procedures and training. Lone Star. Raymond helped me with my application and provided a decent character reference. I got in, and it helped a lot. Lone Star got me where I needed to be. And now it's all gone. And you're back. Seems like Carter's death hit you pretty hard. Yeah, she was a good one. We were a real team. Joining Lone Star helped me in all sorts of important ways, no doubt about it. I really embraced being a cop. I studied my ass off. But no matter how hard I worked, I was never more than a model cop with a brutal streak. There were plenty of assignments that were perfect for a big mean orc like me. Assignments that would have fed my need to hurt people. But I met Carter about a year in and she changed things. She talked about the values and goals and priorities and constructing the life that you want to live. She was a real trip. Sounds like a good woman. She was a cop, a partner, a mentor, and a serious badass when she needed to be. But yeah, she was a good person too. She kept me focused. When Raymond asked me to meet him in Hong Kong, I had a feeling that I was going off the reservation if I didn't bring Carter along. And now she's gone, and here I am. I say that you honour her memory by showing her how much you've learned. Wu's mouth drops open and then curves into a grin. He shakes his head, still smiling. I'm sorry. Did Melee Thrill just give me sage advice? Sounds like you did some growing up of your own. You've been waiting a long time to ask me about the night I left, haven't you? He chuckles and hooks his thumbs into his belt. Guess I have, yeah. It's about what you were doing before you got thrown into that corp facility. You said some people had messed with you and you weren't going to let them get away with it. How'd it go? Let's just say that they didn't get away with it and leave it at that. Whatever you say, Mel. Do you ever think about when we were kids? I try not to. What are you talking about exactly? The old gang, Lockjaw, Double Tray, those guys. You realise that old gang you were talking about were teenagers, right? Younger than Gobbit. Man, they felt so old back then. But Lockjaw couldn't have been more than 17 tops. And Double Tray was only 13 when... Why were you thinking of them? Just thinking about that thing DT used to say. Improvise, adapt, overcome. That's how you beat the streets. I remember Double Tray saying that. It was while we were living between the red-hot nukes and the 162s. Crazy-ass dwarf anarchists on one side and flesh-eating ghouls on the other. Those were the days that you long for? Long for? No. Just thinking it's the same now as it was back then. Survive and watch each other's backs. Yeah, I know. What'd you think of that last run? I don't know, Mel. I've had enough of ghouls for one lifetime. The Barons were full of them. Remember what the 162s did to the Aztlana family that lived by the old town centre? Remember how we found them? It's not the kind of thing you forget. Tooth marks in the bones and all that. Yeah, made my stomach churn. Nobody deserves to go out like that. I don't know, Mel. I don't think I'll ever get comfortable with having a ghoul on our crew. Made sense to keep those elders alive, by the way. Good call. We don't know anyone else in this country. Seems wise to try and get some allies. Anyway, enough about that. Need anything else? Nope. Yeah, later would be good. Don't get me wrong, catching up is nice, but I'm not used to being as social as this. That's one of the reasons why it was so nice to work under Carter. We both appreciated long silences. Sorry man, she seemed like good people. Ugh, I hate it when people say it's one person. She's not good people. So good. She's gone and I've accepted that. I guess it's just been a big day is all. Anyway, good talk. I'll catch up with you later. Yeah, brah. Hello down there. It's good to see you again. She smiles down at you from the monitor, her outline scintillating with blue-white light. She looks peaceful. Nice avatar. It's a good look on you. Isn't it? I spent months customizing this avatar. She feels more real to me than my own skin. You really feel at home in the Matrix, don't you? You look happy there. I suppose that I am. It's a comfort thing. As long as I'm jacked in, I can be whoever I want to be. Whatever I want to be. Out there in meat space, I usually feel uncomfortable in my own skin. I'd probably just live in here if I could. I've heard about deckers who have tried it. Never turned out well. Dehydration is a bad way to go. I know, and of course I was joking, but truth be told, I do spend most of my time out there, wishing I were back in here. You're a decker. You must know what I'm talking about, the freedom of it. It's hard to live in a cage of meat when you know how sweet it is to leave your body behind. She pauses for a moment, considering. Then her avatar shimmers forward. A slight frown crosses her face. You know, Wolf, I've been thinking about the question you asked me a little while back. The one about the walled city. The one that I dodged. I remember. Look, I wasn't trying to cheat you out of your answer. I want you to know that. It's just that talking about the walled city is problematic for me. I understand. I grew up in the Barrens. I know how hard it can be to talk about this stuff. No, it isn't that. I'm not explaining myself correctly. It isn't that I'm tortured by bad memories or anything like that. The problem is that I can't remember my childhood. The walled city, that entire chapter of my life, is nothing but a blur to me. I can give you general information about life on the inside, but the specifics of my own experience are gone. What do you mean, gone? Do you have amnesia or something? Something like that. There were a variety of factors in play. The upshot of all this is that there are things that I can talk to you about, but only a few, and only in bold strokes. Don't expect any personal stories. I couldn't share them even if I wanted to. So if that's okay with you, if you'll be satisfied with trivia and urban legends, then we can talk. Just say the word. Otherwise, at least now you know why. So how did you lose your childhood memories? I'd rather not go into it. It's personal. Suffice to say that I've never missed them, at least not until now. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm a good listener. Great, I'll keep that in mind. I get the feeling she just doesn't care about me. Give me what you can about the walled city. At this point, anything could help. Alright, I can do that. Avatar's avatar turns. Begins to pace on the screen. Where she steps, spider webs of light spread across the tiled ground of the octopus's sculpted matrix hub. When I think of the walled city, the thing that stands out the most in my mind is the legends, the mythology of the place. If I hadn't lived with them, I might have found those stories fascinating. Did you know that Kowloon Walled City is supposed to be cursed? That's what the locals believe. We had ghost stories and everything. Of course you had ghost stories. Every place has ghost stories. Spirits are real as well. Not the ones that we talked about. Our stories didn't concern city spirits, or spirits of man, or any other known supernatural phenomenon. We had our own homegrown legends about demons from another place, imaginary monsters that haunted the walled city, the Yama Kings. Yama Kings, derived from the mythological judge of the dead, I presume. That's where they came from, yeah, but the Yama Kings that we told stories about were their own thing, bastardizations of the original myths. It'd probably be easier to think of them like urban legends, our own little pantheon of monsters and morality tales. The stories are still clear in my mind, even after everything that happened. Everyone in the walled city believed them. You can get out of the walled city if you make a deal with Fu Mang. Cut the hearts from the 44 people closest to you and bring them to him. He'll reward you with riches. Don't go under that arch or Quan Ya will catch you. She'll rip out your teeth, tie your tongue in a knot, and make you her slave for eternity. We had Qi Xiang, our homegrown judge of souls. People would let themselves be flayed alive in hopes that he'd reawaken them in a better life. And we had Lam Vi, the Ebony Queen, who teach you to hide so well that you'd slowly mutate into a cockroach. It was all bullshit, of course, but everybody in the walled city believed it. I wouldn't write off the story so easily. Magic is real as well. Of course it is, I know that, but the Yama Kings can't be real. If they were, the body count in the walled city would be a lot higher. The Yama Kings are glorified kids' stories, and then make-believe. A fiction that my parents and neighbours invented to excuse their own actions. I can't get ahead because demons are keeping me down. Woe is me, woe is me. It's almost embarrassingly transparent when you really look at it. Lam Vi turning people into cockroaches? It's just a Kafkaesque trope layered into a more morality tale. Qi Xiang? He's just Anubis with a different coat of paint. And then you know that archway that I mentioned? The one that Quan Ya was supposed to haunt? I knew someone who found it. There was nothing on the other side but concrete. It's all superstitious drivel, Wolf. The misery in the walled city isn't the fault of demons or devils. We created it and we perpetuate it. We blamed made-up monsters for our own failings. There's nothing more pathetic than that. What about the shared dreams? How do you explain those away? I don't know. Mass psychosis or maybe something magical's going on. But it isn't them. They aren't real. They can't be. Anyway, that's enough for now, huh? I'm sure it gives you plenty to chew on. My obligation to give you an answer is satisfied, I think, so let's talk about something else. Can you think of anything else at all that night that might help us? I don't know, maybe. I'll put some thought into it. On second thought, maybe I do have an idea. You open to taking on more work? Yeah, why not? This wouldn't be work for Auntie Cheng. Think of it as a side gig that you'd be doing for me. I think I've got a line on some software that could help us. I can't get it on my own though. It's a two-person job at least. What kind of software? It's hard to explain. It'd be easier for me to just show you, but trust me, it'll help. I have the run all planned out already. I've done all the legwork, I know the location, I know the targets. Just say the word and I'll send everything to your mission computer. You can look it over, weigh it, and decide what you want. Deal. Done. You'll find the pertinent documents waiting in your inbox. If you decide to accept the mission, just check the box and message documentation and it'll ping my comlink automatically. Cool. I'm sure that the briefing I sent you will satisfy your curiosity. Trust me, Wolf. This is a good job with a solid plan behind it. You'll see just as soon as you've read it. And speaking of which, you should go do that now. Sure. Fantastic. But actually, I was going to talk to you some more. Haha. I haven't got around to reading it yet. Oh, well in that case, please read it soon. I really think this job's a good idea, and it won't have any noticeable impact on the work we're doing, blah blah blah. Any thoughts on the last run? Nope, sorry. Jacking into the octopus is how I relax after a long day of work. Some people go to sports bars or strip clubs. I do this. As a rule, I don't spoil my leisure time with shop talk. But we're already talking shop, aren't we? There's a difference between the job and our lives. It's after hours. I don't want to talk about work, so if you wouldn't mind changing the subject. Gosh, she's such a loner. Hey, Seattle. Oyster? She extends a grey lump of seafood with a fingernail. It smells like low tide at a municipal pier. Sure, why not? You pop the wobbly... We'll pop the wobbly wadded flesh into your mouth and chew. An explosion of lukewarm brine is your reward. Good, right? Half-repressed memories of dumpster diving and the Barrens dance a merry jig in your brain as the mangled oyster slides down your throat. Yes. I wouldn't go that far, but it's seafood, and it isn't made of soy. That makes it good in my book. So what do you need? How do you like life here on the Bolt Hall? It's fine. Shaping up. Having new roomies is always nice. How's your evening in the cabin? Comfy enough for you? No, how's your evening in the cabin? How are you enjoying your cabin? Comfy enough for you? It isn't half bad, better than some of the places I squatted in back in the Barrens. I've heard stories about the Redmond Barrens. Sounds like a real winner of a place. Kowloon isn't any better, of course, but at least our little slice of home is safe. That's true. It's handy having a mob boss on our side. Yeah, handy. Auntie Ching is definitely that. Don't know if I'd say she's on our side, though. I know what you mean. Of course you do. Let's change the subject, huh? I'd rather not think about the old woman right now. You know, Bolt Hole is a pretty mediocre name for a ship. Ever considered changing it? Yeah, sure. Considered it a bunch of times. Never really cared enough to actually do it, though. You want to call her something else? I'm open to it. Let's call her the Kraken. Aye, aye, Captain. The Kraken it is. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I think that the others will be happy with it. You said you'd teach me how to be a better Shadowrunner. I'm here to collect. Still remember that, do you? Huh. Just thought I'd assumed you'd laughed that off. No dice, wizened mentor. You offered. Now pay up. Okay, how about this? I'll tell you a story about a run gone bad. You tell me what you would have done in the runner's place, and then we compare notes on your answers. How does that sound? You tell me. You're the teacher here. Right, it sounds good. Of course it does. That's what we'll do. She sweeps a tangled rope of hair out of her eyes and back over one pointed ear. After a moment of silent contemplation, she bites her lip and nods. Okay, so this is a story from early in my career. I was part of a team here in HK, but I did some occupational moonlighting for another group based out of Macau. I was a busy kid. Early in your career? So you were what, like 12? Her eyes narrow in mock indignation. You say that I could have... Wait, you say that like I couldn't have been. When I was 12, I could have destroyed you. And also, I was 16, practically an adult in Orc years. We grow up fast. Anyway, the job was a hit on this tower, sort of a trid multiplex / apartment complex. I'm sure that they've got them in Seattle too. You know the kind. 7 huge screens, monster concession stands, coffin apartments on top like barnacles on a whale. Used to go to one back in Seattle, best way to watch Urban Brawl. Good, you know what I'm talking about. Our client wanted us to break into one of the apartments. The story was that an ex of hers, a guy named Boggs, lived there. She'd been cooped up with him until about a week prior, and then things went sour in a big way. She wanted us to get back some things that Boggs kept when he kicked her out. Scare the shit out of him, bloody him up a bit, make it look like a robbery. You know the drill. Standard smash and grab then. Yeah, it was a pretty bush league gig, but the pay was decent enough. Not the sort of thing you turn down. So anyway, Sibilance, that was our group leader, had a plan. We knew that we had to go in quiet because the Metroplex had a panic system wired directly to the HKPF. If we'd gone in shooting, we'd have been drowning in cops within 10 minutes. Sib thought that that we could maybe take advantage of the apartment's terrible soundproofing and kick in Boggs's doors when the movie got loud. We camp out near his doorway, waiting for the ceiling to start raining plaster, then smash our way in with his neighbours none the wiser. This sounds kind of familiar. Yeah, it's pretty close to what John Wilkes Booth did when he assassinated Lincoln. Sib was an amateur historian, used to bore the rest of us to tears, but I guess that it could occasionally come in handy. So we waited in the hall, just like Sibilance planned. We had a guy on the elevator, another in the stairs, and I was waiting by the floor's communal kitchen. Sib took up a position by the door. She had these cyber legs that she dumped a ton of Nuyen into. Hydraulic jacks, strength enhancements, the works. Girl could probably leg press a dump truck. Come to think of it, most of her plans involve kicking things. There's something a little sad about that. And this woman was the best suited to lead this particular group of runners. Tragically, yes, everyone else was various shades of amoral or screwed in the head. Sibilance might have had a tendency to solve all of her problems the same way, but she was better than the alternatives. Anyway, we heard a boom from downstairs, felt the wall shake with the reverb. Sib wheeled back and gave the door a massive kick, just as she'd planned. From where I was standing, couldn't really see what happened next. I could hear a massive crack as her boot slammed into Duraplast. The door flew off its hinges, exploded off might be a more accurate phrase. A second later, we heard an ungodly crash. There was a moment of silence, then Sib let out a little gasp. The apartment was in shambles. It looked like a hurricane had hit it. Everything was trashed. Everything but the door, which was miraculously still in one piece. Remember that this was a coffin apartment. It wasn't much wider than the door was to begin with. And Boggs, well, what was left of him was under the door too. Well, you got the rough him up part right. Yeah. Unfortunately, he wound up a lot rougher than he was supposed to be. That door really did a number on him. Ribs sticking out of the skin, that kind of thing. It was a bloody mess. So yeah, Boggs was dead. The stuff we'd been sent to the apartment to recover had been smashed to bits, and then the building alarm went off. That's the situation. Our payday is smashed, my temporary teammates are all standing around with stupid looks on their faces, the cops are coming, I'm standing by the kitchen. What would you have done in my place? What would I have done? Christ. Your group was in trouble. I've rallied them, tried to help them fight their way past the cops. Sibilance created the situation. You weren't even part of the team. You were subcontracting. I'd have cut and run. Damage control. I'd have looked for blackmail material to protect myself from a soon-to-be angry client. I'd have tried to improvise. Was there anything in the kitchen you could have used to resolve the situation? Probably rallied the team. We'd just been defeated by an inanimate object, Seattle. We got our asses kicked by a plastic door and the power of our own ambition. Fighting off waves of cops above a crowded movie theatre didn't feel like the best move at the time. So what did you do? First thing that popped into my head. That's a lesson to remember. The first answer that you come up with is almost always the best one, and you're going to have, so just roll with it. Don't second guess yourself, don't hesitate, just act. You live longer that way. As for what I did, well, I was standing in the kitchen, remember? I could have cut and run. But it looked like I didn't... but could have cut and run. I looked like any other street kid. I'd have blended in. But instead I decided to stay and help my team. When I think crowded theatre, I think place where you can shout fire because it'll cause a panic. And then I thought, cops don't charge into burning buildings. They help people get out of them. And as it happened, I had the means to create a real genuine fire setting right across from me. A pair of industrial ovens. You set the building on fire? I encouraged it to burn, opened the gas vents wide, set the range onto a timer, and motored back to the hallway. The others had started arguing amongst themselves. I told them to snap out of it and follow me down to the lobby. We had to clear the hallway before an errant spark took the whole floor out. Unfortunately, the rest of the group wouldn't listen. Sib and the rest of the team were too busy arguing about the relative merits of her let's kick things really hard and see what happens tactical system to really want anything to do with me. I shouted back to them that the kitchen was going to explode and continued down the hallway. Just like I'd planned, I got out of that run in one piece. So did every single one of the people in that multiplex. My fire plan worked beautifully. If the rest of the team had listened to me, they might have gotten out of the building too. Kind of a bummer that they didn't, but at least the run turned out well for me. How? Well, I couldn't collect any pay because the run had been a disaster. But after the explosion, I got to ride in the front of the fire truck and they gave me cookies and a blanket. I wound up dating one of those firemen a week later. All things considered, it could have gone a lot worse. So, Seattle, tell me, what was the moral of this story? What lesson was I trying to convey? Go with your gut, I guess. She nods sagely. That's right, trust your impulses and don't be afraid to wing it. Almost any action is better than no action at all. Once you've committed to doing something, you've got to follow through. No arguing or hand-wringing, just do it. If you get caught up in your own head agonizing over past mistakes, well, don't be surprised if you wind up dead. A kitchen fire can take you down as easily as a cop's bullet if you stand around and let it. Are you certain that Sibilance and the rest of the Macau team are dead? They weren't with me when I got evacuated from with the rest of the moviegoers. I never saw them leave the building, and I haven't heard from them since. I guess it's possible that somebody made it, but I don't really run in those circles anymore. Odds are good that if anyone from Macau team did survive, they'd have died off by now from sheer incompetence. Shadowrunning is an unforgiving business. You don't get to make too many mistakes. Did any of the stuff in the story actually happen, or are you just making it all up? Seattle, I'm hurt. It all went down exactly like I said it did. Well, except for a couple of embellishments here and there, but they make a better story. Artistic license and all that. I hate to break it to you, kid, but I'm beats. It's been a long day. Lesson's over for now. We'll pick back up next time. Alright, Gobbert. Catch you next time. I'll have your next lesson ready and waiting too. Scurry along. Your mentor needs her rest. But I also want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about the run and how it went. Beach. Hi, Ractor. Ah, my friend, welcome back. There, that's better. Now what can I do for you? How are you getting along with the other members of the team? Perfectly well, thank you. They all seem competent enough, and there haven't been any major personality conflicts so far. As long as they continue performing to an acceptable standard, I can see no reason not to continue our arrangement. It's good to run with a team again. If anything changes, let me know. It's important the team's morale stays high. You don't manage morale, my friend. You manage the team. So long as we continue to succeed, morale will take care of itself. Any thoughts about the last run? The Whampoans may be a socially maladjusted group, but I find their philosophies quite compelling. I suspect that there's a fair amount of overlap between their vision of the future and my own. Your decision to spare the Elders was a fortuitous one, and I look forward to communicating with them at length about their belief system, and the steps that they're taking in accordance with it. Something to look forward to, I suppose. You saw something of a mystery to the group, Rector. Can I ask you a few questions? No, I don't mind. Not at all. I can't promise that my answers will satisfy your curiosity, of course, but you may certainly ask. What was it like growing up in the Russian Republic? Tumultuous, as you might expect. You probably aren't old enough to remember the Euro Wars, but I am. I'd like to hear about them. My country was the instigator of the first Euro War back in '30. I remember the rhetoric, the hardships of living under a wartime economy, and the rampant xenophobia that took hold. I remember how we all cheered when our forces invaded Poland. 3 months, that was all that it took for our military to crush what meagre resistance the Poles could bring to bear. It was quite the source of national pride at home. I remember our drive into Germany, and the desperate bid to reclaim the eastern portion of that country for ourselves. Just think about the symbolic significance of such an act, an audacious move to be sure, but Secretary Kropotkin was determined to make history. Yeah, in the same way that Stalin was. I believe that Kropotkin was more concerned with the opinions of his own people than he was with his place in the history books. And in truth, I cannot fault him for this. For the 4 months that the war lasted, he did bring the country together. But alas, the Night Wraith incident put an end to our march and sent our forces into full retreat. Night Wraith. British-made fighter bombers with stealth capabilities, very state-of-the-art, very powerful. At least, that's what they were purported to have been. Nobody has ever come forward to accept responsibility for the attack. Regardless of who was behind it, the result was the same. Wave upon wave of bombings that targeted our forces and the Germans alike. Coupled with the assassinations of dozens of military leaders, a devastating synchronized operation expertly carried out over the course of a single night. At home, viral attacks shut down our power grids. Hundreds of thousands of Russian homes found themselves without heat or electricity in the dead of winter. Koschei scuttles forward, allowing the rigger to rest his hand on the sloping metal of its chassis. Rector stares at his own deformed reflection in the metal of the drone's body, a sad smile on his face. I remember huddling under a mountain of cheap blankets that my mother had piled upon my bed. They did little to protect me from the cold, but they were something that I could hang on to, something tangible that I associated with warmth and comfort and home. There, as my body trembled and I watched my breath frost over, a horrible truth descended upon me. We had caused this. We were the villains of the First Euro War. For the first time, I came face to face with what Kropotkin's folly had brought us. And there, under that ridiculous heap of rags, I came to realize what would surely come to pass. The world thought us villains, and so they would treat us like villains. We would be pariahs on the international stage, crippled by retributive sanctions. We would never live down the shame. And then the AFA invaded Greece and Spain, sparking off Euro War II. We redeployed our troops to help repel them, and all was made right again. I have to imagine that you still had enemies in Poland and Germany, even after the start of the Second War. Oh, we were still regarded with suspicion, of course, but all of Europe might have fallen if it hadn't been for our help. In essence, we took back our reputation at gunpoint. Not an ideal solution, I admit, but it worked. Within the span of 4 months, we Russians have gone from nobodies to a terrible threat to unlikely saviours in the eyes of the Western world. Studying exactly how this happened has taught me a great deal about human psychology and social dynamics. Human psychology? You say that as if you aren't one. Just a figure of speech, my friend, nothing more. Now, should we talk about something else? Surely there are more interesting and relevant things to discuss. You mentioned that the Second Euro War was sparked off by the AFA. Who were they? Ah, yes, I suppose that you wouldn't know. They were only active for the years surrounding the conflict. The AFA was the Alliance for Allah, serving under the Mullah Sayyid Jazrir, a coalition of right-wing Middle Eastern governments that assembled on the failure, some say sabotage, of the United Islamic Conference. They looked to a weakened Europe and saw an opportunity, one that my country was entirely responsible for creating. So the AFA invaded Europe, but Russia was really to blame. Yes, I cannot blame the AFA for acting as they did. Ultimately, they chose the same path that any hawkish power would have taken. Given their circumstances, it would have been foolish for them not to. My country, on the other hand, was guilty as sin. We were the ones who blazed the trail. So what happened? How did the war end? The AFA folded in 1937 after Jezreel's assassination. A lucky thing for us too. The body count could have been a great deal higher. In the years that they were active, the AFA gave us a hell of a fight. Did you emigrate directly from Russia to Hong Kong? No. Between my years in Nizhny Novgorod and my time here in Hioi, I spent a year in the free city of Berlin. That was where I got my feet wet as a Shadowrunner, you see. I ran with a team of anarchists for a time, and learned the ropes of occupation under their tutelage. That must have been interesting. It was, to a point. They were disorganised, to be sure, but perfectly capable. We enjoyed a certain level of camaraderie while we were together. Sadly, we are no longer on the best of terms. What happened? An opportunity arose, and I seized it. In doing so, I left Berlin for Hong Kong, and I did so without much notice. My absence made life difficult for them, and they blamed me for their hardships. You're a grown man. If you wanted to leave, you were under no obligation to stay. Thank you for taking my side, but I can see their point as well. As I said, my departure caused some complications for them. That said, I haven't lost any sleep over it. I merely did what I had to do. Ultimately, I would say that my time in Berlin was quite educational, different from my earlier life in Russia, to be sure. As I said, the experience was invaluable. Ultimately, though, Hioi is probably better suited to my sensibilities. How so? Life in Hong Kong is more structured than it is in Berlin. Things make sense here in a way that the Flux State didn't. I have an orderly mind, everything in its place, neatly labelled and filed away. This approach is what allows me to make sense of the world. To say that the people I knew in Berlin thought differently would be an understatement. Why did you move from Russia to Berlin? When we first met, I told you that I parted ways with Grishin Aviacore under unfortunate circumstances, yes? Yep. The same circumstances led me to Berlin. I was wronged, and I would not find recourse in Russia. I suppose that there's no sense in being vague. I'll tell you the story if you want to hear it. Go on then. Fucking hell, these people speak so much. My god, this has been a stream nearly 3 hours long of just dialogue. I'm not complaining, I promise. You may remember the self-repair system I mentioned the first time we met. The module that would allow Koche, or any sufficiently equipped drone, to repair itself. I told you that my research had been lost. That was not strictly true. It was stolen by a pair of colleagues who I had long considered friends. They were researchers from my old lab. They turned against me, stole our work, in truth my work, and defected. They betrayed you, huh? Yes, driven by desperation, no doubt, and ambition. They had always been fixated on getting out of Russia. Grishin Aviacore was a nationalized corporation. and they would never get rich as cogs in a government-controlled machine. In our project, they saw their key to breaking away and earning their fortunes. Never mind the fact that I was opposed to the idea. And so they took what was mine and left me with nothing. And you followed them, I take it? Yes, the two had long spoken about moving to Berlin. Such was true of a great many academics in Russia. My homeland is a bureaucratic dictatorship, you see. There is little personal freedom, and there are many rules to be followed. As you might imagine, the stable anarchy of the flux state can be an alluring concept to those who live under totalitarian rule. Berlin is much romanticized back home. So you assumed that your former colleagues had run to Berlin? It was the only thing that I had to go on. At best, I would find them. At worst, it would be a good place to rebuild my life. And of course, to establish the web of contacts that I'd need to track my betrayers down. There is a squeal of tortured metal as Koshie drags its claws over the iron grating that covers the floor. It took me a year to locate my former friends. It was a long, painstaking search, but I was nothing if not determined. I finally found evidence that they'd used my research as a bargaining chip to secure positions in Ares, and that they were in Hong Kong. And so you came here to Huey. I picked up and left the next day. My old team was upset, to be sure. Lucky Strike in particular howled for my blood. But I know where my priorities lie. Lucky Strike, she was the one in the wine bar the whole time, in the last game. And so here I am. And here they are. And soon I will be ready to act. I really must thank you for inviting me into the team. Your abilities will be invaluable when my time finally comes to make my move. Assuming, of course, that you're willing to help. Yeah, of course. Thank you, my friend. But this is a discussion for another day. We aren't ready to hit an Ares facility yet, and there is more intelligence to gather before we make our move. I got another question for you. Go ahead and ask. No, I don't have any more questions. What can you tell me about your colleagues who stole your work? Today, they call themselves Taylor and Hardingham. Those aren't their real names, obviously. They shred their former identities the moment they left their old lives behind. What were they called when you worked with them back in Grishin Aviacorps? It doesn't matter. Those men are as dead to me as they are to the world. My old colleagues no longer exist. Taylor and Hardingham are all that remain. They are the targets now, nothing more. Oh, how wonderful it will be to find them. What a reunion we will have. This stolen research means more to you than money, doesn't it? Yes, much more. It was my life's work, and it was important. Reducing it to a bargaining chip was a deadly insult, both to me and all those who would benefit from my work. I don't think I've seen you get this intense about anything. I suppose that's probably true. This is a matter that's near to my heart. Indeed, it ties into this guiding philosophy of my life. Tell me, are you familiar with the concept of transhumanism, the transformation of humanity as a species by technological means? Huxley coined the term in the late 1950s, I believe. Yes, that's right. The seeds of the idea trace back even further to the 1920s and J.B.S. Haldane, but it was Huxley who popularized it. And now the transhumanist vision has progressed beyond philosophy. It is fact. Look around you. Cybernetics are a fact of everyday life. The synthesis of man and machine is the crowning achievement of meta-humanity as a people. I believe that we are well on our way to a truly post-human future, one in which the synthesis of man and machine is perfected to the point that the terms become interchangeable. In such a future, the capacity for unlimited self-repair would be indistinguishable from immortality. You can see then why the theft of my research came as such a blow. My former colleagues hadn't just stolen from me. They'd taken my contributions to the future of our species and reduced it to a bargaining chip. Yeah, I get it. I was more than upset, my friend. I was livid. I still am. But all will be made right in the fullness of time. I'm nothing if not a patient man. I can wait. And with that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to bid you good night. I've taken enough of a break for one evening. There is still work to be done, and it would be lax of me to put it aside any longer. Thanks, Rector. It was interesting. Good night. But I think there was still something to talk about. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Hi, buddy. How are you doing in here? The storage room that functions as Gaichu's cabin is a cramped, overheated mess. Piles of old ship parts share space with tarnished cookware, flats of instant noodles, and a collection of cast-off clothes and reams of diagnostic manuals for obsolete computer hardware. To top it all off, there is barely any light whatsoever. All of the bulbs in this room are missing. Gaichu is busily moving boxes around, apparently in an effort to carve out some personal space amidst all the junk that he shares his cabin with. As you enter, he cocks his head and turns around. Welcome to my sanctuary, Wolf. I apologise for the lack of light, but as I did not need it, Gobbet took the bulbs for use elsewhere. How can I be of assistance? Just wanted to see how you were settling in. I live. I am among those who can make use of my services and who are not attempting to claim the bounty on my head. Is that not enough for now? Any thoughts about the last run? What do you expect me to say? You have allowed me to live, invited me into your home, or boat as you prefer, and have given me a means to earn an income and use my particular set of talents. I am pleased with this. While I understand your desire to keep the Elders alive, to preserve whatever goodwill exists between you and the Whampoans, I worry that such softness sends the wrong message to those in the underworld. There is a time for truth, but there is also a time for sending a message. Have you been having any weird dreams lately? Yes, I have indeed. I had thought that I was alone in this. You're definitely not alone. I saw a vision of shadowy shapes, rows upon rows of sharp teeth and the stench of sulphur. My initial assumption was that I was simply dreaming of my fear of becoming what many assume of me, a monster without a mind. Does this coincide with the dream you had? Yep. Curious. A shared hallucination, perhaps, flows in the Hong Kong ley lines. It's interesting that I had the same dream as you while I was in Whampoa Garden and you were here. Were that not the case, I would call this boat haunted. Do you think it means anything? I have no idea, and frankly, I do not care. Omens and portents are powerful inducements to behave foolishly. I would suggest leaving the interpretation of dreams to soothsayers and priests. I would like to talk about your ghoulish condition. As you wish, you are my benefactor, and as such I yield to you. Ask then, I will do my best to answer. How do I know the team is safe? Because I give you my word that I will not harm you or anyone else on the team. I am a man with a disease, not a mindless beast. My word is my bond. I can accept that. Good. I would hate to think there is lingering distrust between us. Aside from being blind, how has it affected you? Aside from my heightened senses of smell and hearing, I am stronger, tougher, and more resilient than any mundane human. I can achieve feats of physicality that are normally restricted to adepts and those with extensive enhancements. Gaichu lifts one hand, fingers crooked to show off his elongated nails. Claws, really. These as well, as sharp as any small knife. I prefer my sword, but in a grapple they come in extremely handy. He draws one nail over the surface of his shoulder plates. A hair-fine spiral of armor peels off in the nail's wake. Do you still need to sleep? Gaichu chuckles, his laughter rasping out over his lips. Unfortunately, I do. I am not an undead creature of legend. If I manage to unlock the secret of rest without sleep, I will be certain to inform you. Seems like your condition's stabilized. For now it has. I will not suddenly become a ravenous beast lurking in the hold of your ship. At least, no more so than I already am. Why did you bear the name Gaichu? It was given to me. That is what the Japanese call ghouls, for the most part. I am vermin, a thing shunned by polite society, to be hunted and slain for a bounty. My old life is gone. It seemed as apt name for the streets as any that I could choose. I like that attitude. It turns the tables of power. One does not defeat the enemy solely by strength of arms. One must turn one's own weakness into strengths. It's an old and valuable lesson, too often forgotten. Your armor's heavier than what most Shadowrunners wear, and more distinctive. That is correct. It is the armor worn by the elite soldiers of the Renraku corporate military, the Red Samurai. Those are the Renraku Special Forces, aren't they? Correct. The most elite soldiers that the corporation can muster, trained to the highest and most exacting level possible. They are assigned only the most dangerous, difficult, and important missions, things other units would balk at even discussing. That armor's a rare thing for a Shadowrunner to have. This is true. It's a considerably less rare for a Red Samurai to have a suit of it, however, even if he goes rogue. You don't strike me as a corporate soldier. Circumstances change, and with them, perspective. I was a member of the Renraku military for my entire adult life, until my current affliction anyway. Hence I still possess my armour, my sword, my training. They have served me well in both my previous life and this one. So how did you end up running the Shadows? What other employment is appropriate for a cannibal whose only previous experience is in military operations? There are not many things that I know how to do. This is one of them. But why not ask Renraku for medical help? In theory, the Red Samurai who are wounded are given the best medical treatment and cybernetics. If these are insufficient to return them to active duty, they are given a pension and retired. In practice, this is never the case. Red Samurai teams do everything together. Eat, sleep, train, play. We learn to think for each other, move as a single entity. When part of that team is broken, it affects everyone. The other members of the unit would be distracted, thinking about a wounded comrade, and would resent a new member for usurping the old member's place. So the wounded invariably take the same course of action, for the good of the team, ritual suicide, seppuku. I can understand the logic behind that. Can you? Then you are more open-minded than most who learn of the practice. Most believe it to be excessive and anachronistic, but it has served the Red Samurai well, for the most part. In my case, I became infected while on a sabotage mission against Shiawase in Osaka. The unit was exfiltrating on foot from Naniwa Ward through the Arin-Chiku slums. We had not anticipated a ghoul's nest on our route. My surprise got the better of me and I was bitten. Understand that since the passage of the Yamato Act, Japan is a pure country. Metahumans are deported, and to be infected with HMHVV is to be less than an animal. You will be killed on sight. Since this was, in effect, the same as being permanently crippled in the eyes of my team, it was expected that I would kill myself. So why didn't you? Because I was still capable of fighting. I questioned the necessity of suicide. Why should I die if I was still as effective as before? Was I not worth having simply because my diet changed? One does not discard a quality tool simply because the surface is stained. I made the decision to leave while the unit was allowing me time to prepare my expected suicide. I took nothing but my weapons, armour, and a small number of personal mementos. I knew that the unit would hunt me down and kill me. Ghouls are considered vermin in Japan. To have a Red Samurai become one and refuse to die? Unconscionable. How long did it take them to find you? They found me 2 weeks after I ran. I was careless as I fled south, and they caught up with me in Fukuoka. But I escaped, barely. It was at that point I decided that I should leave Japan. I knew I would not stop. They would not stop hunting me, but I could make it more difficult for them. So how did you end up in Hong Kong? I was searching for a cure. I needed a place where I could disappear into the shadows, find work, and evade capture if a cure did not materialize. The Yamato Act meant that it was even more dangerous to be in Japan than anywhere else. I went to China, primarily because I had hoped to be able to return home. It felt less final if I fled to somewhere nearby. I went to Shanghai first, but Renraku's presence there is significantly more robust than in Hong Kong. I learned that my previous unit had not stopped hunting me after I left Japan, so I decided to move further afield. Hence Hong Kong. Where else can anyone arrive and disappear without anyone in the city caring? Berlin? Perhaps 5 years ago, but the recent upheavals and the newly iron-fisted Seder Krupp influence filled me with trepidation. The flux state is no more. Long live the corporate Berlin of the future. Since arriving here, I've drifted between neighbourhoods selling my services to those who are unafraid of my appearance and condition. It has not been as profitable as I'd hoped. Did you grow up in a corporation? Yes, in Keihanshin, the Kyoto-Osaka-Kobe sprawl. It's less populated than Neo-Tokyo, but not by much. I grew up in East Kobe, where my father was posted in a Renraku complex. Gaichu roots around in a nearby box, running his fingertips over several chips before deciding on one. He slots it into his PDA and a trid photo flickers to life in the space between you. A young man, obviously Gaichu, leans against a railing which overlooks a sprawling harbour complex of skyscrapers and cranes. His school uniform is ripped and the beginnings of black eye are forming. Abrasions cover his knuckles. and blood dot his pants. Despite this, he's grinning like he just won the lottery. Vibrant, fierce. You look a little beat up. Ah, that must be on Mount Maya. If I remember right, I gave better than I got in that fight. 3 against 1, but they were out of shape and cocky. I used to cause a lot of trouble when I was in school. My father was constantly raging that I had no sense of responsibility and that I needed to take life more seriously. The final straw was when he bailed me out of jail. I've been in jail a few times. What did you do? My friends and I stole a delivery van. It had a shipment of Shiawase SimSense decks. Brand new, very expensive. We were going to fence them and use the money to take a trip to Okinawa. Are you familiar with what it's like to grow up in a corporate family? I know a thing or two, yeah. Then you understand how it is. Children are encouraged to participate in acts of vandalism against rival corporations. Unfortunately, we were caught by Shiawase security, not Rinraku. You think your father approved, even secretly? I doubt it very much. For him, the activity was not the issue. It was that I was caught and embarrassed both the company and him. He's very much a man who believes that there is a proper way to do things, and I had once again cut corners. What he did next is a story for another time, unfortunately. I still have a lot of arranging to do, and I doubt anyone else will be willing to be alone with me in a darkened room. Come back later. We can discuss it further. Come on, can't you tell me anything more? If you come back later, perhaps I can. For now, I have to hew a livable space from this junk heap. Come back later. Okay. And I will do so, but first, check the computer. Check your inbox. About those dreams. Gobba's face winks onto the screen. Her rats are perched precariously on her head, and she holds a laser pointer clutched between her thumb and forefinger. Oh hey Seattle, I hope that I didn't catch you at a bad time. Why did I just say that? This is a recording. It doesn't matter if it's a bad time. Well, anyway, I was thinking about that talk that we had. You know, the dream stuff and the nightmares and stuff. I've got a friend here in town. She runs the Parlour of 5 Phases. It's sort of a local magic shop and talismonger. Name's Crafty. Anyway, she's smart. Really smart. Her mum was sort of a local authority on all things magical, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If you want to ask anyone in town about those dreams, she'd be the one to choose. She taps a button on the laser pointer with a thumb and the little red dot goes dark. The rats immediately tackle one another, rolling off her head and falling out of sight. Anyway, just thought that might help. If you've already been talking to Crafty, please disregard this message. I'm out. Attending a party. Wolf, I need you to come to the parlour. A friend and business partner of mine named Dr. Shenyang has need of your services. Something about attending a fancy party in Repulse Bay. He was unwilling to give me the details. I think he wanted to size you up himself. Raymond Black's history. Duncan asked me to do some digging on my own into Raymond's history. I guess he doesn't trust Kindly Cheng to give him the full story. Can't say I blame him, since she'd hide things from us if it was in her best interest to do so. So I've been poking around various corners of the Matrix trying to dig up what I can. Most sinners leave a data trail the size of an aircraft carrier in their wake. Working backwards in time, Raymond starts out that way, but it slowly tapers away into nothingness. Sure, I can find some basic records in Seattle, power, utilities, a couple of public discussion sites he's signed up for. But the further back I get, the less I find. And the craziest part is this. Prior to 2032, I can't find anything at all. And that shouldn't be possible. It's like Raymond didn't exist before then. I don't know. I'm going to keep digging, but it'll take me a while. I'll let you know when I get news worth sharing. Yo, come see me if you have a chance. I have a trade opportunity. Maximum. A recording of Isabel pops on the screen. If you're watching this, you've decided to listen to my job offer. That's a good thing. I wasn't convinced that you would. Our target is a local Decker, a former Whampoan. In the Matrix, his handle is Rhombus. He has the software that we need. Unfortunately, he's unassailable from the Matrix, and nobody knows where he lives in meat space, but I know where he's going to be. There's an event coming up that Rhombus can't afford to miss. He might already be on his way there. As you're reading this message, Deckers from all over Asia, white hat and black hat alike, are converging on the Harbour Spires Hotel. This year, Harbour Spies is hosting DeckCon, Hong Kong's largest annual decking convention. Rhombus is going to be there, and that gives us an opportunity. We're going to hit the convention, find him in mid-space, and get the software away from him, and we're going to do it quietly. Enclosed, you will find a copy of the plan that I've worked out for the run, presented in bullet point format. Everything should be fairly straightforward. Isabel's image blinks off the screen. I'll provide you one other runner of your choice with visitor passes for the convention. I will proceed ahead of you using my own guest badge. I will hide in the women's lavatory on the first floor. You will enter via the kitchen and procure me a uniform from the catering staff. Please be sure that the uniform is a size 4. We will rendezvous and I will change into the uniform, and using it, I will infiltrate the admin wing on the 6th floor. You will proceed into the convention hall and await further instructions. Using the admin computer, I will identify Rhombus via his guest registration form. Once I have done this, I will alert you via comlink. I will upgrade your badge to VIP status, granting you access to the VIP wing. You will tell Rhombus that he has been granted VIP status, and offer to escort him to a complimentary hotel room. You will escort him to a room that I designate and hold him there. I will jack out of the Matrix and make my way from the admin wing to your room. We will intimidate Rhombus, beat the tar out of him until he gives us the software. We will tie and gag Rhombus and stuff him into a storage closet. We will not be gentle. It's okay if he starts crying. Actually, please prioritize this. I want to see tears. Software in tow, we will make our escape. See, it's a simple plan, just like I said. We should be able to see it through without firing a shot. So will you do it? Will you help me get the software I need? Yep. Excellent. I knew that I could count on you. Saddle up, Wolf. This is going to be fun. I submit my payment. The Whampoans tell me that they've ousted all of their Council of Elders, something to do with you exposing their efforts to cover up their own mess. It isn't the resolution I expected, but I think it's acceptable. If there's one thing I don't trust, it's people who won't pay what they owe. Thankfully, the Whampoans are more reliable than Nug and her allies, and so am I. Your payment is attached. Okay, Shadowrun's BBS. Please shoot out in Victoria Harbour. I know a lot of you are interested in that 50,000 Nuyen HKPF is promising in connection with the terrorist cell they're hunting, so I've been digging around for some better information. Think I've got some stuff of value. Turns out they had a handler here in Hong Kong by the name of Raymond Black. The HKPF tried to take him into custody the day before, but they were forced to kill him in a shootout. Looks like Black and the terrorists are members of the White Star group out of Henan. Isn't White Star all about restoring Imperial China? One of those terrorists they killed was obviously North American. Why would she be helping a pro-imperialist group? You got money, you can buy any kind of person you need. You're on the Shadowlands, Ome. You should know that. So what do we do about Black and his band of thugs? Anything we can use to track them down? The data I've been able to dig up says that Black was from Henan and was distantly related to the royal family. He spends a couple of decades in Seattle making connections in the shadows in preparation for an attack on the Free Enterprise Zone. I've attached some dossiers on his remaining agents. You sift through a long stream of data detailing who you and Duncan are. While the general details about your name and life are correct, many of the small details are wildly inaccurate. You are listed as having lived in Laos for the past 4 years, while Duncan is noted as having spent most of his life in prison. You move on to peruse Gobbett and Isabel's ostensible biographies. The dossier lists Gobbett's real name as Yu Chang Gui, and her place of birth as Zhan, Shaanxi. According to the content, she's 23 years old and served with the Baihu corporate military until convictions of insubordination lead to her dishonorable discharge. Well, you can't be certain Gobbett doesn't speak Mandarin. The idea of her being in the military, any military, is downright laughable. Isabel, in turn, is listed as Fatima Abukar. Apparently, Isabel was educated at an early age in terrorism and piracy by the revolutionaries of the Ethio-Malian territories, and is wanted in connection with the bombing of 2052 bomb attack on the French embassy in Johannesburg. Given that you know that Isabel grew up here in Hong Kong, this information appears to be as laughably inaccurate as your own dossier. Posy Bash. Alright folks, we're trying this again, this time under a super secret code name. There's no telling how long it'll last, so let the bashing begin. Super secret code name, you just ran the word poetry slam through a thesaurus. Poetry, people, not complaints. A thief on the run, a silencer in the dark, the rat shaman lurks. Go on for the coyote shamans too. An unbound trickster, this shaman fears no peril. Wile E. Coyote. On a roll, Jivey. Here's another one, if Mad can stand it. Pulses of light glance off bright chrome. Translucent spheres encase my treasure. Mirrors and tubes and neons implode. Another day in the Matrix. Hey, I can do traditional. I happen to prefer haiku because less typing. Gossamer tresses. Infinity in your gaze. Very pointy ears. Extra points for using gossamer correctly in your sentence. I like elves. Jive Burt is still the master of the haiku, in fact. Oh, graveyard creeper, ashen skin, spindly fingers, and claws freak me out. Alright, Shakespeare's, this is strike 2. This thread is getting locked, and you aren't doing this again, got me? This board is for deckers who want to talk shop. There are plenty of other forums you can use for your stupid amateur poetry. I suggest that you go find one. Top shelf sublet, available immediately. Like the title says, good location, cheap rent, serious offers only, please. What do you mean by top shelf? As in a fancy corp condo? How'd you manage that? Nah man, it's literally the top shelf of the converted maintenance closet I live in. You're joking. No joke, it's cheap and the location's good. Right near Temple Street Night Market. Has its super fast access just in case you need to get in and out of the Matrix quick. I'm not the sort to ask questions. There's just about enough space to stretch out your legs lying down, and there's a ceiling hook for your gear. What do you say? I don't know, I need a place, but still. A shelf in a shared closet? Screw that. I've got a sweet pad to rent that you can have all to yourself. It's not Victoria Peak or anything, but it's a bargain. Where's it at? Kowloon Walled City? It's one of the new construction units on the outer edge. I'll throw in a second-hand ceiling. Deal? Okay, message me, I'll work out the nitty-gritty. Seriously? The Walled City isn't that bad. My apartment's huge, and it even has windows. I'll beat Harbour House rent. In fact, just tell me what you want to pay. Hello? Looking for a decker. Looking for an experienced decker for a discreet milk run on a supply house for purveyors of recreational substances. Potential for longer-term arrangement. We're a team that's been together for years, running your basic heists and the occasional transport gig. We've got a reliable fixer and a long list of happy clients. Requirement, you must have a good sense of humour. Hey, are you willing to give a newbie a shot? I've been in and out of the Matrix since I was in school. I raised some creds doing odd jobs, so I've got a hot new cyber deck that I'm itching to try on a real run. I'm a Zoom. I don't know, man. We'd really like to find a long-term decker, and you kinda don't know shit. You said so yourself, sorry. Oh, come on. You said it was a milk run. How else would a Shadowrunner start if not with an easy gig? I'm being upfront with you. Doesn't that count for something? Fine, I got a test for you. You hack this guy, Captain Scone, and change his password to erotic massage. I'm on it, thanks. Done. I'm in or what? Say yes, say yes. What the fuck? I'm a Zoom. May I introduce you to our rigger, Captain Scone? You'll make a fine addition to our team. Thank you, you won't regret this. You've got to stop getting people to hack me. Gimme. Or you're looking for a new rigger next. Oh, you know that you love me. Clicky clicky. Right, let's rest up. Yeah, rest up. And then I'm going to save and end the stream. Hooray! You wake with a start, your limbs bound in a sweaty tangle of linen bedsheets. An incredible sorrow swells in your chest. You feel empty, half-starved and alone. Fragmentary memories of half-remembered dreams flit through your mind. They're already fading away to nothing. Chase them! You close your eyes and concentrate, willing yourself to keep the dream from slipping away. Gradually the memories come back to you. The walled city. You were back in the walled city. You don't remember how you got there, but it couldn't have been any place else. Even the barons weren't so squalid. You remember craning your neck to look above you. The buildings that made this part of the walled city were new construction, even cheaper than the old. Now the foundations had rotted out from under them, and the buildings leaned into one another like a gang of drunken men. A rain of plaster and asbestos sprinkled down, dusting your shoulders. You begin to creep forward, picking your way past the piles of refuse and debris, past the pimps and the dumpster fires, the broken glass and the dirty needles. The air reeked of rot and sewage and industrial waste, a disgusting melange that caught in your sinuses and crawled down your throat. You gagged on the stink, but it didn't slow you down. In the back of your mind, you knew that you had no reason to be doing this. There was nothing for you in the walled city. You shouldn't have been there. But the rest of you was hungry, unbearably, indescribably hungry, and that part of you knew that if you kept moving, you'd finally get to eat. As you forced your way deeper into the walled city, locals stood at their windows and stared. Inexplicably, some of them dropped to their knees. You kept moving. You could see something in the distance, a silhouette, something enormous, at least twice the size of a troll, but delicate. It was beautiful. The huge figure beckoned you, gesturing with a slender limb. An explosion of warmth filled your chest, and you knew that if you only could reach it, your problems would be over. She, would make all of your sorrows disappear. You moved forward at a crawl, but the figure felt impossibly far away. You reached out, calling to her, and then you woke up. The empty feeling in your stomach slowly fades, taking the strength and vibrance of the memories along with it. Awesome. Let's save. I can't save. Now let's save. And with that, I am going to call it a day. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate you hanging around with me during this, what's it been? 3 hours and 15 minutes of dialogue that I've just read. I can appreciate that this is a little bit like me reading a storybook to everybody, but, you know, hopefully my dulcet tones have sent you off to the land of Nod. Let's meet up again next time so that I can continue to speak a lot more and read a lot more. And maybe, I don't know, in another 3 hours, get into a fight or something. We'll see. But that is a concern for next time, I think. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.